No, Olivia Colman. But
the locations in Bloomfield, Brighton, and
the other one,
the first young lady,
Gillian Anderson as Margaret Thatcher.
Excellent.
Totally disappeared in that role.
Yeah, she did.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
More? I thought we just got started.
We're done.
My goodness. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to March. It is March 1st, and it's coming in like a lamb. Temperatures in the upper 30s today, sunny skies. And I guess I didn't realize March 1st is the meteorological first day of spring.
Yes.
What does that mean exactly? Does that mean that Ben Bailey's going to come out and not see his shadow? Or what does that mean?
We're moving in the right direction.
Yes,
That's what that means.
Sure.
Yeah, well, we are 19 days away from the calendar first day of spring, and we will savor that. Did you have a chance to get out and enjoy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Long walk.
Nice weekend.
Oh, that was just, it was the kind of day when I as a kid, I would have grabbed my mitt. I would have grabbed my mitt, and even if there was snow on the ground, we would have figured out a way to play catch. Because you just
don't
had
drop
that,
the ball.
Exactly. Yeah, you knew you were going to ruin a ball in the process, right? But no, it just felt so good. So some interesting TV moments last night. First off, did anybody watch President Trump?
No, sorry.
I'm really curious to see. CNN didn't carry him. MS didn't carry him. The broadcast didn't carry him. Fox did. I'm sure OAN and Newsmax did. The only piece of news was this. Cut to, please, Danielle.
You know, they kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. That was fake news.
Well, it wasn't fake news because there were reports that they were looking at that, but it was interesting. I mean, that was the big part. The only thing new that came out of this almost hour and a half long speech was that there will be no run. What was really interesting, and then we'll get on to some more fun stuff after this.
Not another run that there would not be another party.
Not another party. Well, you're right. He teased another run, and let's listen to that. This was he did that a couple times. Cut 3, Danielle.
Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Beat them for a third time.
And there was one guy that was standing on a chair and almost fell off at that point. I mean, there were people doing cartwheels, and I'm sure for the just rabid Trump acolytes that it was like a really nice, cool drink of water after walking through a desert. But there was a certain sameness. There was nothing really too fresh about it. And what was interesting, so there was a straw poll that was taken. 97% of the people at CPAC, not surprisingly, said that they want to continue Trump policies into 2024 and beyond. Only 55% said that they would vote for Donald Trump if there were a primary held today. Now, does that seem a little low to you? So it just seems to say, we think we've got the right message. We're not sure we've got the right messenger. And at CPAC of all places, to have 45% say, I'm not sure, or I don't think so, or maybe Ron DeSantis, or the South Dakota governor looks better to me. Just kind of interesting.
Very interesting. You're right.
That's kind of the sentiment that people that I've talked to, just, neighbors and so on, socially distant, of course. No, but that's sort of what they're saying as well. The ones who supported him are saying similar things than that. Policy is good. Messenger, maybe it's time to move on. He's going to be 78, by the way, in 4 years. Right?
Also, there was an uncomfortable moment where he basically read his enemies list. Liz Cheney included Michigan Congressman Fred Upton in that list. Given what happened on January 6th, that was an awkward and really uncomfortable moment to be singling those people out for who knows what. All right, let's get to traffic. WJR Traffic first with Dana Clark. Back with more on the Paul W. Smith Show for your Monday morning.
This report is sponsored by Lions Clubs International.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Traffic First, sponsored by the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit. When your commercial, industrial, public, or residential project calls for plumbers, pipe fitters, or HVAC service technicians, the Mechanical Contractors Association of Detroit connects you with the very best highly skilled and trained union contractors. To get started on your next project, visit mcadetroit.org. Starting off nice and quiet, no reported accidents, no delays. Construction along 14 Mile Road, both directions eastbound and westbound between Novi Road and M5. That's scheduled through early March, so we should be getting an update for when that water main installation will wrap up. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Primetime Testing Laboratory. For over 20 years, they have been offering complete automotive testing services, guaranteeing on-time delivery and accurate result reporting to OEMs, Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers for your next automotive project. Get a free quote at primetimetestinglab.com. That's primetimetestinglab.com.
Gusty northwest winds telling me the front's through, so temperatures holding steady today in the mid-upper 30s basically all day. The sky will brighten up a bit, becoming partly cloudy with the gusty winds accelerating over 40 miles an hour at times. Clear tonight, 16. Suburbs might be even colder, might be some single digits. Sunshine tomorrow, 42. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stitchicom, News Talk 760 WJR.
And let's get a thought for the day from the late, great Rush Limbaugh. Rush?
The Washington Post just ran a long article titled From Riches to Rags, and it's about Venezuela. Venezuela used to be one of South America's wealthiest nations, but now is one of the poorest. The Post describes how this oil-rich country is Latin America's new underclass because it's buckling under the weight of Venezuela's descent into socialism. There's no food. There's no electricity. There's no money. Every day, 5,000 people flee the country, try to escape starvation. In the last 2 years, 2 million have fled. Another 2 million will leave this year. Women risk being raped and attacked by smugglers. Members of the upper class, skilled professionals, they are abandoning their property, taking jobs as day laborers in other countries. But life is worse for those who stay in Venezuela. It's all so totally predictable. And I did predict it when Hugo Chavez came to power back in 1999. But our brilliant liberal elite, including Hollywood stars, praised Chavez and his chosen successor, socialist dictator Nicolas Maduro. American liberals always celebrate socialism, just as they're doing today in the Democrat Party, because they see it.
Did you guys
power?
Did you see Gretchen, Cecily Strong to Gretchen Whitmer on Saturday Night Live?
It hasn't been tried.
Funny stuff.
She's good.
I saw the clip of it. I didn't stay up to watch.
Right here.
Well, it was, and we can talk about this. So, did you see Fauci on Meet the Press yesterday? Rachel Walensky from CDC. Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful cat, Marie. I have not seen it. That's huge.
He's not that big. He's not that big. He's just,
objects on StreamYard may appear larger than they really are.
He's here listening, watching the show. There he is.
Look at him. Oh, look at his little face.
Oh,
he's like, I'm
funny.
ready. Yeah. I'm ready for my close-up.
He's the most social of. We have two. He's
right.
the most social of the two.
Those are talking about him, Marie.
Yeah, he's hilarious. This one here. This is the cat who will go into John's office and pull stuff out of his trash and then bring it up the stairs and bring it into our room. So we wake up in the morning and there's like bits of papers that John has thrown out in the trash, and he brings. It's the strangest thing.
Does he fold clothes? Can he fold clothes?
That's what we're hoping for.
Come on, buddy. If you can do that, you can do other chores too.
Yeah. Bring the laundry up.
Right. Sock by sock.
Yeah, he's very funny, this one. But I saw the clip of Saturday Night Live, and
very funny.
They've got that Michigan accent down just right.
They do.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to DM the SNL crew and say the only thing they're missing, you've got to say the fact of the matter is at least 5 times in any
True.
that is her verbal crutch,
right.
cue, whatever you want to call it. But it's so funny because if we were playing a drinking game, that would be like number 1 on our bingo card.
Right.
That's
Or
like
they
Joe
always say
Biden.
clearly too. Let,
Yeah,
let me
Yes.
make this clear. That's the other little phrase. Let me make this clear. But
And
yes.
Dana, you know it's a novel virus.
Right. It is.
Okay? It
Yeah,
is a
but-
novel virus.
Still are forgetting that guy. I hate to say that, but some people still are still can't figure out that yes, we're still trying to work this one out and still trying
Oh
to,
yeah.
you know.
You know, it's kind of like Joe Biden saying all the time, here's
Right.
the deal.
Right. Here's the deal. Right. That's his. Here's the deal.
Come on,
I know,
Right,
and you
right.
hear those things, and you go back to every impersonator ever finds that one
Yes.
thing, you know, and
Yep.
seizes on it.
Very
And it
funny.
works. It works.
Yeah, it does. It's good.
Well,
She does a
so-
good job.
Yeah, thankfully we're laughing at politics because
Right.
you know, it's been such a divisive thing for so many people. It's fun to just laugh at those things rather than
Mhm.
It is.
complain
Yeah.
about.
How was Nick Jonas as the host and guest?
So I never got back. I got so tied up in other
Oh.
things yesterday that I never got back to watch.
Mhm.
I don't stay up on
I'll
Saturday
put-
night
yeah,
to watch
I usually
SNL.
fall
It's
asleep.
you know, I watch it. How's this for the palate cleanser? I watch it after Joel Osteen normally.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh boy, that doesn't mix.
So I get my nice positive spiritual message from Joel Osteen, and then you know, we'll try to watch the opening of Saturday Night Live.
So what were you going to say about Dr. Fauci?
Well, so he came out along with this CDC, Dr. Walensky, and said, "Don't relax. No relaxing.
yeah.
We can't relax
You
these things.
can't.
Yes, we see the cases drop, but there's going to be." Well, she promised last week, or at least hinted that this week, that we will see a relaxation on nursing home visitation, which God knows. Which this is all hitting a little too close to home for me, but God knows we need to get people back in to see the seniors. And we talked with. You know, on our show, we talked with this wonderful nursing home director at the Martha T. Berry Center out in Macomb. And he said, you know what's crazy? He goes, she had her COVID preparedness task force recommend visitation guidelines that are much more lenient than what she's working under now. Her own licensing and regulation board recommended visitation policies that are much more relaxed. But she's gotten hammered so much by Republicans over this. You know, you put people back in nursing homes and it killed them.
Yeah.
We got a U of M study that said, well, no, it really didn't. That I think that she's just locking it down, and isn't because of what happened with Cuomo. She's not going to do
But,
that.
Yeah.
but with so many people now in nursing homes and senior living centers,
Roofing, siding,
getting
and replace all the windows in your house for as little as $2 a day. $2 a
Absolutely.
day. That's 586.
I think we're up to 80%, 85% of nursing home residents have had at least their first shot. The problem is nursing home staffers.
Yeah.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
And we're celebrating March today on the Paul W. Smith Show. And as we said, it's coming in like a lamb, not a lion. And we'll take that. Dana, you had a chance to watch the Golden Globes last
Yes.
night. I wasn't able to. I did see that Chadwick Boseman won Best Actor posthumously, obviously. And that was so nice.
Yes, he must have won that for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which was very good. It was based off of a play, and that was on Netflix as well. So you know what's cool is when you find out who wins, people always go back and kind of watch things that they may not have seen. But The Crown was a big winner. Trev and I binged The Crown, watched all 4 seasons.
So good, right?
Loved every minute of it. So several people won on there. Also, Nomadland, which I have to watch, which I heard was excellent. Frances McDermott was fabulous. You saw it, Marie?
Yes, I did.
That was good. And then
So is it really dark? Because it looks really dark, and I'm not sure I can want to do dark right now.
No,
But that's
I wouldn't call it dark. It's thought provoking.
yeah.
I know that there's some discussion that it sways a lot from the book. The book was different in its focus. So it, this kind of made the idea of living out of your van sort of adventuresome. But in the book, it was more of a social commentary that people can't afford in their later years to live properly, so they live out of it. So anyway, there's that. But I have to tell you, the way that movie was put together was fascinating because it's, obviously she's an actress or an actor, but there's a lot of people in there who are not, and they've kind of melded a documentary into a movie. It was the most, you have to watch it just to see how they did that.
Yeah.
You can see who the real actors are, and then you can see who the real people are. It was fascinating how they put that movie.
And they are people that are actually living this lifestyle.
Yes,
Yep.
and proudly so. A lot of the
Mhm.
a lot of people really want to live that life, that they don't want to be tied down, and so it's very
Kind of off the grid, right? They live kind of off the grid. You go where you want to go.
Right.
And I just want to say, I only watched that movie because Dana brought it up during her movie.
Movie
a
preview.
couple of weeks ago, and it was just so good.
Yeah, so of course the Globes are virtual. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosted. They did a great job, as well as they could. There was some technical snafus, of course, always, but it was decent. It was what it was. So
yeah. So can we open up a matrimonial court here for a moment? I want you three to be the judges of something. Those daily. Those daily moments within the life of a marriage, and I want to get your feedback on this. So here's the scenario. A spouse steps on the bathroom scale.
Uh-oh.
They are intensely focused on the weight window to see if they have lost the weight that they're anticipating they lost. Instead, the numbers fluctuate wildly before settling on 10 pounds more than they weighed just 3 days ago.
Sounds like me. Go ahead.
Sounds like everybody during COVID.
Said spouse, understandably alarmed.
Yeah.
Only to find out that their beloved is standing behind them with their toe on the scale.
Oh, that's dirty.
So tell me now, and I put this before the court, is this a playful, loving, fun moment in a marriage, or are they guilty of sabotaging somebody and causing unnecessary drama?
It's cruel. It's the worst.
Only if you don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's funny for the moment, for that reaction, and say, "Oh no, I had my toe," and then whoever would be very relieved. It would only be if you didn't say anything and you let it go on. Then it's cruel.
No, yeah, I agree to that.
Because that's what Gail did to me Saturday morning.
And you freaked out. You freaked out.
No, all I could think, it was actually a funny, lighthearted. We had a really great laugh over it, but all I could think was, boy, oh boy, double standards. If I had done that to her, it would have been a very quiet weekend.
It would have messed up everything.
It would have been one of those things where you're going, no, honey, really, it was just a joke.
No, that is funny.
Well,
if you say something.
I'm so pleased that as I put this before my three favorite judges, that there was no sexual or gender bias there. You didn't say, well, it depends on who is on the scale.
Right. No. In fact, I'll try that trick today over here.
Really?
I'll try it on Trevor. Yeah.
Let us know how that
happens.
goes with Trevor. Even though I can't imagine that Trevor's too worried about having gained any weight at all. Every time I see him,
he's gained a couple. So
has he?
We're both trying to just lose a few pounds. But now that it's warm, I can get out and walk. I'm not like Anne and Marie walking in the snow.
Listen, I scope out the sidewalks before I come out.
Well, we're gonna let you work off a few calories, Dana, because it's time for WJR Traffic. First with Dana Clark.
Sponsored by Lions Clubs International.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
The roadways guy are looking great out there, starting off nice and quiet. Traffic First sponsored by Clarkston Window and Door. Over 31 years in business, over 450 combined years of experience installing windows. Trust a specialist at Clarkston Window and Door. Act now to take advantage of 31% off installed windows, doors, and garage doors. 248-338-6781 or clarkstonwindow.com. Looking at that construction along 3rd Street. This is in Detroit, southbound between 94 and Palmer. That street is shut down for construction until further notice. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Carpenters Labor Management Partnership Team. Hire the Carpenter LMPT contractors for your next construction project. Their workforce is the best in Michigan, professional, safety conscious, craft trained for every project. Hire the carpenters, LMPT contractors today. Call 877-477-LMPT. That's 877-477-LMPT. We are expecting it to be in the lower 30s today, a high of 35 expected. Mostly cloudy, currently 35 degrees. Tonight, back down into the 20s. Over the next couple of days, we'll hit 40, and then by Wednesday, we could hit 50. Mostly cloudy, 34 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Marie Osborne in 2 minutes.
Frank Beckman here, and I'd like to challenge all of you.
Guy, do me a favor. Go into StreamYard. Do you want to stay on StreamYard all morning?
Sure.
Okay, go into StreamYard and make sure that your cam/mic says USB on it. Your mic sounds a little hollow to me. It's very nice quality, like it's clear,
I wish you'd said something sooner.
I've been listening to it.
There it is. I just changed it. Does it sound better?
Sounds better.
Look at Annie. Look at Annie, engineer.
Look at me.
That's funny because it normally, on this machine, it normally defaults to my USB mic. Sorry to all of you out there that have been saying, gosh, guy sounds like he's in a well.
It sound like that, though.
He's 10 pounds lighter.
10 pounds. But it didn't sound bad. That was the weird thing. It just sounded like
you can see how close I am to my computer. I've got a big iMac that is it's a huge thing, and that's why I appear blue. It's because I'm so close to it that most of my light is generated by my computer.
Yeah, Danielle says it's better, but it's kind of low.
Now it's too low.
Okay.
If anything,
the
other one was better.
As high
as it can go.
Yep.
Because the other sound was.
Now I can go with automatically adjust. But no, that's even lower.
Yeah.
How's that? Better?
It's
same.
Okay, now I'm really turning it up.
That's a little better.
Now you sound really good.
Now what's funny is with Lucy, this doesn't have a problem, but for some reason on StreamYard, it comes out as really low. So will that work?
Yeah.
Danielle, how does that work, Danielle? Better, but kind of low. Well, say again now, Danielle, if you think it will work.
All right. Lori says much, much better. Bob says volume is low. Raise the volume now. Okay. Does it sound better, guys? Or
yes.
The problem is
overall. And we're still hearing Marie. So
you are hearing Marie?
I am hearing Marie.
I took us out.
Okay. That's out now. She's out. Okay. Oh no, it's back.
I don't hear Marie when I take her out of the feed. But you must be on a different.
Yeah,
I'm guy? You don't hear Marie right now, do you?
Now I don't. Danielle must have took it out.
Danielle must have taken it out.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, folks.
Okay.
There we go. So when we come back from the break, what would you like to chat about?
Let's come in with Whitmer on SNL and have some fun with that, and then talk a little bit about the whether or not we'll see a relaxation and things today. That's still obviously a big topic as we look ahead to the week.
Did you see this Michigan House bill?
Yes. Yes.
That would allow bars to stay open till 4.
I think they introduce something like that every session. The Michigan Beverage Association has, their lawmaker du jour throw that out there, and so I think.
Why do they need to be open till 4?
Look, it's a lot happening, Annie. It's a lot out there to discuss.
In my single days, I never would have gone home.
It's a lot out there. We would be asleep because we wake up so early. I couldn't stay up till 4 if I wanted to, but I mean, 2 is quite good enough, I think.
Yeah.
Why shut them down at all then?
Right, just go in whenever you want to go.
Can't you open again at 6?
Right.
And the whole drinking and driving thing, seriously, it's more time for people to be in there drinking.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
Do you know that this September, hour drunk driving BAC limits, BAL limits, sunset, it would go back up to 0.1.
Oh,
Really?
Wow.
And so there's also a bill in the House that would address that as well to prevent it from sunsetting. Why would they have put a sunset in there to begin with? Is it like
That's
a
weird.
test? Geez, let's see how
Right,
this
let's
works.
see.
And
Let's see if
The other
people can
thing is-
handle it.
We're in COVID. They're not even allowed to be open past 10
Past
o'clock
10.
right now. Why are we
Right.
well, I
talking
don't know.
about
She may change
4?
that this week. We'll
Right.
we'll
And
see.
aren't
I
some
mean-
schools going back? Like, what's the school
There's
situation?
a ton of schools going back between now and March.
Put your mic
15th.
back down. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
between now and March 15th. So
Okay.
I think Detroit goes back today, don't they?
I
think
think
you're right.
so.
I know it's this week, Guy. I think
Yeah,
you're right.
and March 15th, Grosse Pointe goes back. Ann Arbor goes back the 28th.
Now this is K through 8, though, right? It's not
No, I
high.
think
Oh, this is
I think
everybody.
it's K through 12.
Oh,
yeah.
is it? Oh, can you see the
We-
parents?
we
Come
had
on,
this-
Jimmy, get up.
We had the superintendent for Grosse Pointe on,
Sure.
and he was interesting. He said this was without a doubt the most divisive, contentious, difficult decision he's made in 15 years of leading the
can
district.
imagine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in charge.
So is Grosse Pointe going back today too, Guy?
The 15th. I think some kids go back today. The rest of them, I think, special ed, disabled. I think there's a class of students that goes back today, and then the rest go back March 15th.
This says Detroit going back on the 8th.
Oh,
All
Okay.
grades at all Detroit schools to move back to classrooms on March 8th.
Okay.
So a week
So-
from today.
The governor claimed that, her goal was to get most back by March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen, but I think we were already at 80%, and I think she thinks we're going to get to 90. She said 97% by the middle of the month, I think is what she said, offering some form of in-person learning. The interesting thing at Grosse Pointe is if you didn't sign up for a full year of virtual learning at Grosse Pointe, is my understanding, they're not offering you a virtual option. You got to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you signed up for
Oh.
the
Full
full
year.
enchilada.
And when they go back, Guy, what are they going back with? Are they going back with masks on, plexiglass?
He didn't. There is some plexiglass, but he also it's full mask. And he said their biggest problem is that they don't have the ability to do 6-foot distancing. Few districts do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not adhering to the CDC recommendations because they can't, but they still believe that they can avoid it. And they lost something like 500 students early in September when they didn't come back in person.
To private schools?
Private schools, and yeah.
Wow. So
Signing for just $6 a day for all three.
Gonna feel
Call
like the
Performance
first day of
Remodeling at
school.
586-540-6000 or online at
Come in with cut 9, will you,
windowsroofingsiding.com.
please?
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's
come in
Guy
with it.
Gordon.
Our next judge narrowly escaped being kidnapped by a group of men whose fingerprints probably had Cheetos dust on them. Please welcome the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer.
Hey there. It's an honor to be here with my fellow governors. People yell at them about their policies, and they yell at me, "Get her!" But hey, that's life.
And with that, she took a sip of Bell's Oberon Ale. And it was a pure Michigan moment as Cecily Strong lampooned our governor, Gretchen Whitmer. And did she nail it on the accent?
Yes.
On the Midwestern?
Yes. Yes.
Welcome in, everybody, to our roundtable. Dana Clark, Marie Osborne, Ann Thomas. The whole crew is here. Danielle Mason back pushing the buttons in the Fisher building. It was a fun moment. And, remember, she got, the folks at SNL got blowback when they used Labatt's during their last Michigan skit with Gretchen Whitmer. So they made sure to correct it this time because the governor actually sent Bell's Oberon to the folks at the 30 Rock. So they've been schooled on that. But it was a fun moment. interesting thing that's coming up this week is last week, I don't know if you saw it, but in her weekly briefing, her COVID briefing, the governor said that hinted that she would be relaxing restrictions for nursing homes, perhaps restaurants, but also the gathering limits that now prevent office workers from actually being in an office collective, if you will. The question is whether she will follow through on it, because over the weekend, and in fact before the weekend, you had Fauci out there and the new CDC director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, saying, no, this is no time to be relaxing the restrictions. Please play cut one, Danielle.
We cannot get comfortable or give in to a false sense of security that the worst of the pandemic is behind us. Not now, not when mass vaccination is so very close, when what we need to prevent this is truly imminent. We must continue to be vigilant and committed to consistently taking the steps we work to stop the spread of COVID-19.
So who do you think the governor will be listening to? The chamber, and I think there were 4 different chambers throughout Michigan that had sent a letter to her requesting that she adjust the gathering limits to allow office workers to come back. Will she be listening to the Restaurant Association saying your 10 p.m. curfew and your 25% capacity is killing us? We cannot make money under those circumstances. And to nursing homes that's saying, hey, all of your task forces have recommended much more leniency with visitation than you have. So who will she listen to? Those stakeholders or Fauci and Walensky?
It seems to
I have
me, though,
no
that
idea.
that she's been really listening to her own council, the state of Michigan. I don't know how much she's closely followed the national chatter or the guidelines from the CDC. I mean, I know she's followed CDC guidelines, but I think she's listening more to her own health team at the Michigan Health Department, right?
It seems like that.
Well, and she has a new director there, in Elizabeth
Yes.
Hertel. And we have been hearing that one of the reasons that Robert Gordon is no longer there was because he was kind of perceived to be the lockdown king. and that there was very little flexibility on his part, that Ms. Hertel apparently is a little bit more open to opening. So we'll have to see what happens, but I think it was an interesting, she's getting pressure from both sides now. And we'll be talking about that with Sandy Barua when we have him on a little bit later now. The state of the region, and also in our discussion with folks at Cranes, because they've been reporting on this as well. Chad Livengood took a walk around the Ren-Sen, and he gave us kind of in Cranes today a look at a ghost town.
Yeah.
And when you don't allow
like
office
a
workers to
picture
come
building,
back,
too.
all of those businesses that support the office workers, how they suffer from a lack of foot traffic. So it's going to be it's going to be a really interesting week ahead in terms of seeing her navigate the different information that she's getting there. Have you guys seen on your social media feeds people doing vaccine selfies?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. And
Good
there's
thing-
a vaccine envy now.
Well, that's the problem. So, on the health side, they're saying this is a good thing because it engenders confidence. It can help promote people getting their vaccines. On the other side, if it's someone under the age of 65 who maybe
how'd you get yours?
Exactly.
What are you doing there?
So what's been the reaction in your social media world?
Well, the one that I saw that really stuck out to me is that there was someone who had posted that they got their vaccine and they were within the parameters to get one. But then one of my friends chimed in and said, I can't get my 89-year-old father who has pre-existing conditions his vaccine. And by the way, this is someone that we all know and someone who's worked very hard to try to get her dad a vaccine. And she it's hard to see that. It's hard to see other people just going in and getting the vaccine, and you're there with an elderly parent who can't get one.
The other thing is Melanie Ducanel from the Better Business Bureau says, do not show your vaccine card on social media.
There's all kinds of info on there.
Their info is on there, yeah.
His birth date is on there, your name is on there, and somebody could take that.
And yet we've got this new study that came out, a survey that shows that Detroit, not just Detroit, but the Detroit region leads the nation with nearly 25% of those in the Southeast Michigan region saying, not going to get a shot, have no plans to get a shot, isn't going to happen. So, will these selfies help to at least maybe encourage those people, kind of a bandwagon, peer pressure type things, and also just a restorative confidence? The problem is we actually saw on, not a friend, but an acquaintance put up her vaccine and said, yeah, F you.
What?
Literally said that on Facebook.
Really?
We've noticed she's changed her Facebook now to a new privacy setting since then. But it was just the audacity to come out and say that she's not anywhere near 60, no pre-existing conditions that I know of.
Don't post it.
And it was just shocking that
What are
someone
people thinking?
would do that.
Wow.
We're
So
going to
wow.
give her a really wide berth the next time we see her. That's a little scary. Let's get to WJR Traffic with Dana Clark. Back with our friends from Crane's Detroit Business next on the Paul W. Smith Show.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International. For kids in poverty around the world, things are still desperate. Join Compassion International with your one-time $40 gift to provide a COVID relief kit to a family in poverty. Text the word GIVE to 83393. That's GIVE to 83393.
Off to a great start out there. First day of March. No reported problems, no accidents. Of course, there's always construction out there. Let's check on the project along 75 southbound at 696. So it's eastbound and westbound ramps. 696 eastbound to 75 southbound are still closed for construction. That's through mid-November. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
All the way up to 60 yesterday, short of a record by 4 degrees. Now the colder air continuing to spill on in. You'll feel it today with a gusty northwest breeze around. Not quite done with winter yet. Becoming partly cloudy,
So it's
windy, and
interesting.
let's just say steady temperatures.
On Facebook, on our comment section, David Height says that Oakland County is now 60 and over to get a vaccine. And I will go and register today if that's the case. They may be 60 and over to register, but I don't know that they're giving it to anybody under the age of 65.
So here's what I did, Guy, based on a doctor's advice. So I went and lined Ed and myself up virtually on the Oakland County Health Department site.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go and get in line. And then I also did it, I picked a Wjr and I got in line virtually. And I did it a while
Do you
ago.
do that on Myers' website, or is that on a county health department website?
You do the Oakland County one, go to their website, and then on the Wjr one, go to their website. And on the Oakland County one, they keep sending us updates now saying, you're not ready for your vaccine yet, but you're still in line. If you've already gotten the vaccine someplace else, please take yourself out of line. So we keep getting updates, but I think you're right. I think we're still way down the line. I don't think, we're quite ready yet. I could be wrong.
There's supposedly this week we will see a surge in vaccines, and that's due. I think we're going to get a larger allotment this week than we've ever had before, mainly because of the holdup because of the weather issue over a week ago.
Yep.
But it's they're saying with this Johnson & Johnson vaccine coming up that was approved last night by the CDC, that we could see in Michigan that could result in an increase of vaccinations by 50%.
Wow.
Which seems, I'm not quite sure how those numbers work out.
Yeah.
And yes, Mark, I think we are going to stay on FB all morning.
And then, Don is making a good point. So much for my body, my choice.
Yeah, I saw
who
that.
opt out of the vaccine are being shamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I see a lot of shaming online with people that say that. I think everybody's got, I certainly respect someone's choice. Not everybody is, and especially someone that has allergies.
Right. Like my mom, she has Guillain-Barré. She cannot get that vaccine, but she sure would if she could, but she can't.
Yeah.
So that's a situation. There are a lot of people, and Don's right, that for whatever their health issues are, they can't.
Well,
so
health and religious, and
right.
certainly those are forgivable reasons. But there's a huge thing right now in the nursing home community where only 40% of staffers have received the vaccine. And I talked to ARP, and I talked to the association that a lot of these nursing homes, their lobby group. And they said they think that as the second wave
That
of
basketball,
clinics
how
goes
the two
through,
relate,
that
and
there
some
will
lessons
be
we could learn from
some.
there, and much, much more here tonight
I'm
on the
going
Rich Paul Show
backstage. I'll let you
at
talk
7
to
p.m. on
Mike.
WJR.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
And as we always do on Monday, we welcome in our friends from Crain's Detroit Business. Mike Lee, the Crain's Detroit Business Managing Editor, joining us this afternoon. Mike, good morning to you. Still working on the other side of the clock, you see. How are you?
Good morning, Guy. How are you?
Excellent, sir. You guys have been reporting now on this letter that was sent by a number of different chamber groups to Governor Whitmer saying, please relax your standards for gatherings because we need to open up our offices again. What's behind that? And is it finding a responsive ear?
Well, right now these business groups they sent a letter to the governor last week saying, the number of cases is coming down, hospitalizations are down significantly, the vaccine, the pace of that rollout is continuing, and the state's health orders still technically essentially ban most office work. If work can be done at home, then it should be according to the orders. They're asking for a relaxation of that. One of the things we did was we took a walk. Chad Livingood took a walk around the first few floors of the Renaissance Center, which normally would house 5,000 General Motors workers each day, and now is mostly empty. And so are most of the businesses on that first floor. Some of the restaurants are not opening up at all. Even though they can now, and it's just pretty much deserted. We had kind of a creepy midday photo of the atrium at the Ren-Sen, completely deserted in the middle of the day on a weekday, which you would never see in normal times. It's a big question. You've got 5,000 GM workers, 14,000 Rocket Mortgage workers downtown who are mostly not now. 98% of them are not. And it's a big question for the businesses surrounding that and employment at them. Go ahead.
Mike, the question becomes, though, even if she does relax the limitations and the restrictions, does that mean that those people would necessarily be coming back, or would most of those employers leave it up to the employees and their comfort level? How many people would come back?
That's the big question, and the answer is almost certainly not all of them. The Quicken has said, Jay Farner, the CEO, in an interview on our Newsmakers webcast last week, said that Quicken is outfitting things like conference rooms to allow for conferences with people both in person in the room and people remotely, which anyone who's tried it, that can be difficult. And other things. They say, some of their employees say, this is really better for me to work at home, and some people are raring to get back downtown. And they appear to, by what they're saying now, it sounds like they're going to have kind of a hybrid workforce going forward.
The other story that you have here that I think has been on a lot of people's minds is after witnessing what happened down in Texas and some of the unintended consequences of deregulation, maybe very little long-term planning in terms of winterizing their power stations and their generating capacity. The question comes, could it happen here? And we had some discussions on my show with the folks for consumers. They seem to be relatively confident that we have a different regulatory structure here and that kind of catastrophic collapse would be highly unlikely.
Yeah, we sort of did a Q&A on that very topic. Jay Green put that together. By and large, the answer seems to be, is that likely to happen here? No, not really. There are a lot of differences. We have a much stronger regulatory framework here. One of the things that happened in Texas was people were getting the gentleman with the $15,000 electric bill because they essentially pay market price for electricity. Most Michigan Power customers don't pay market price. They pay a fixed rate that's approved by the state.
But for the 10% that do, that's still kind of a wake up call, isn't it?
It would make me a little nervous. In general, the fact that Michigan is part of a 15-state grid, essentially tends to flatten out spikes in prices like that, like happened in Texas. Their system is basically doesn't have enough. I lost the word, but it's redundancy. That's the word. That in order to account for problems like this.
Well, also because we are on a much larger, we're unlike Texas, which is a grid unto themselves. We've got a 15-state compact, so if there is a problem, we can power share, and that's huge. So you do have that redundancy. Also, my understanding is, and we had the discussion with our CEO from Consumers, is that, yes, they rely to an increasing degree on renewables, but those renewables also have backstops, unlike what we saw in some cases on a limited basis in Texas.
Right. The utilities built over the past decade or so have built what they call peaker plants, which is when power demand goes through the roof. They can fire up the peaker plants to fill the demand, or if the wind doesn't blow where the windmills are, or the sun doesn't shine on the solar, they can turn on the peaker plants and even out the spikes and meet the demand for electricity.
You also have a very powerful and bittersweet story, really, of Eric Means, the late developer who died very suddenly. And his wife really picking up his mantle and moving forward with some of his dreams and legacy projects.
Yeah, this story made me cry. The Eric Means is a Detroit developer, very, very prominent, and he died late last year. He was 48 years old. His wife at the time had children 1 and 3 years old, one of whom had just been approved to go on a heart transplant list. At the time, they had 2 major projects in the works, one of which is a hotel in Detroit, Cambria Hotel, and the other is a giant warehouse project in Highland Park in Detroit called Means Logistics Park, which has been an enormous undertaking. They had to assemble 300 parcels of land. They had to overcome objections from the neighbors. That project is still in the works. And Eric's wife Tracy has sort of had to take up the mantle and lead this project. It's still up in the air, but all of the partners on it say they still want to go forward even after Eric's death. And the challenges there are interesting. Real estate doesn't get any easier if you suffer a tragedy. It's a tough business. It's a rough and tumble business, and it's just we'll be watching his story going forward.
Well, he is one of the many leaders that we lost way too soon over the past year. His was not COVID related, but he left a void, and it's wonderful to see that his wife Tracy is trying to fill that void. 3 must reads in today's Cranes Detroit business, and especially if you're concerned about our grid and our reliability for utilities, a must read there from Jay Green. Mike Lee, take care. Have a great week. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Thanks, Guy. You too.
All right, take care. Much more on the Paul W. Smith Show when we come back. Going to be talking about CPAC, what it might mean for the future of the Republican Party and Donald Trump. We'll get into that next on the Paul W. Smith Show. But first, let's get to Dana Clark, Wjr Traffic first.
This report is sponsored by Exergen. Accuracy matters. Get a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen purchased at any retailer. Accuracy matters, especially when it comes to checking for a fever. Exergen's accuracy is backed by published, peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at exergen.com.
Well, we are seeing a 15-minute delay, Guy. This is just for trucks across the Blue Water Bridge westbound between Canada and the U.S. Otherwise, here at home, accident-free, no other delays. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Primetime Testing Laboratory. Interior trim, load floors, instrument panels, visors, steering wheel, seating, if it's in the car, Primetime Test It. They are the automotive industry's most accurate result reporting and guaranteed on-time delivery for your next automotive project. Get a free quote at primetimetestinglab.com. That's primetimetestinglab.com. Mostly cloudy skies, 34 degrees, a high of 36 today. We'll see some clouds, some sun mixed all day today. Tonight, clear skies, back to the teens, your low 16. Warmer on Tuesday, sunshine all day, and a high around 40. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Marie Osborne in about 2 minutes.
Whether it's 15 terrifying miles to the first day.
You need anything, or you all set?
No, I'm good. I'm just looking at our comments and seeing if there was anything new there that we wanted to bring up. All good?
Yeah, I was just looking. What does David say? Macomb County is offering the vaccine for seniors 60 plus.
Yeah, again, they're allowing you to register, but they are still trying to get the 65 and older.
Kind of like
Yeah,
Oakland.
the other thing is they've been so shorted on dosages and allotments. And
Yeah.
I mean, Mark, Warren, and the other thing that I don't know if you guys gotten into on your show this whole social vulnerability index controversy.
No, we have not.
Let me tell you, it's a thorny one because I think there's an acknowledgement that the African American population has been hit harder by this, or at least they were initially in terms of mortality rates.
Yeah.
But when you look at this social vulnerability index and how they weight different social factors within a geographic area to determine how many doses they get, things like having a high concentration of people 65 and older, you get weighted 6% more for that. But if you have a high minority population, that's a 12.5% rating. So the rating for having minorities is double that for 65s. But now if you look at the mortality figures, the one that we can all agree on, the most significant vulnerability factor is age.
Right. Right.
And at least in terms of, trying to be sensitive to socially vulnerable populations, it seems like they've overweighted that. When you get into the nitty-gritty of the formula. And I mean, we had this guy out of Livingston County on, Mitch Zajac. He's the commissioner over there. And it was just one of those things where, I can see both sides. Those that say, people that are more well-to-do can stay home. They can have their groceries delivered. Most of them are working from home because they have white-collar jobs. They don't have to get on mass transit because they have cars of their own.
Sure.
So I get that. But on the same token, if an 89-year-old in Livingston County, are they really that different than an 89-year-old anywhere else?
So do you think all of this conversation will now change now that we have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine coming in?
Hopefully it becomes less relevant but I mean, there are people out in Livingston County that say, look, here's the crazy thing. I think they've got 3 times more people in Livingston County than Wexford County, where Cadillac is.
Okay.
Cadillac's had almost the same number of doses as Livingston County because Livingston is a wealthy area, or
Wow.
it is a well-to-do. And so if you're trying to correct the disparity between the haves and have-nots, really, in terms of the virus, aren't all seniors created equal?
They're definitely
I don't know. I mean,
vulnerable.
it's a really, really hard conversation, and there are racial and then immigrant overtones because one of the big weightings, 12% again, is if you are a poor English speaker or if you have a high concentration like Southwest Detroit of poor English speakers, you get extra doses.
Wow.
Because
really
that's perceived to be a vulnerability.
Now, what about how do you feel personally about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine?
I'd take it in a minute.
Are you fine with any vaccine?
I would take it in a second.
In a second.
Gail wants to wait for the
Pfizer or
and the Moderna.
Yeah.
And I've tried to explain, I mean, to me, it's not just about preventing the disease. It prevents transmission, and I just don't want to be in the hospital. We've got a good friend who had to quit her job because of the brain fog.
Yes.
I mean,
I know. I don't want that brain fog.
I was skiing with her son last weekend, and
it hasn't gotten.
I mean, she's my age, just a little bit older.
Like a long hauler, like one of the COVID people.
Yep.
So tell me what you understand about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. percentage wise. So if we both got it, what are our chances then of getting the virus?
Your chance of getting the virus is lower than mine, but our chances of not being in the hospital or not dying are equal.
Okay,
or
so
better. And I only need to get one shot.
Right. Yeah. See, the reason I'm asking is because that's what I think is going to happen to you and me. I think we're in that Johnson & Johnson vaccine world.
Yeah.
I really do. I think pretty quick here, there's a whole group of us that vaccine is the one that's going to be available. I could be wrong. But
Because it was tested, and also it was the way they did the testing. And by the way, I've heard from Doc McGeorge and others who have said the testing protocols for the Johnson & Johnson were subtly different from the other testing protocols, and there were variants included in that. So if you're worried about the variants, Johnson & Johnson will protect you from that as well. We think the others are still pretty effective, but their effectiveness reduces. So, I mean, it is complicated, but I mean, when I read about it, I said I have no reservations about taking Johnson & Johnson.
yeah, I'm with you. Whatever I can get first, because it's going to give us, I know that you still need to be careful, but let's be honest, it's going to give us a tremendous amount of comfort and freedom to be more closer with our kids. It's time. I mean, and I understand some people can't get it and don't want to get it. I get that, but I really think it's time.
Well, we've watched friends of ours that got the disease on a ski trip out west a year ago this week, came home, recovered, and have really been, for the most part, leading normal lives since then, but for everything else around them being shut down. I mean, they didn't quarantine because
they already had the antibodies, right?
Yeah, they had the antibodies. They didn't feel that
And did they do okay physically? They didn't deal with any long haul symptoms?
No.
Okay. It really depends.
But my buddy said he knew he was in trouble when he ordered an expensive cocktail and a very nice single malt scotch, and he couldn't taste it. He said, that's a double whammy. He goes, it's one thing if I can't taste food, but if I can't taste drink, that really is crushing.
Yeah, that's kind of that is not
And
good.
it's funny, 3 of the 4 guys in my bridge group have had it.
Really?
So we could go
Did
back.
anybody get
Let us help you choose and accessorize the right F-150 for you. Bill Brown Ford Livonia,
Thank
proud
God.
to be your F-150 dealer.
In fact, I think they all got it on the same trip.
I'll let you and Ree talk.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
So President Trump came out publicly again, his first major speech since the January 6th debacle, also since the January 20th inauguration. It was interesting that neither CNN nor MSNBC carried the speech live. It was delayed. It was supposed to start at 3:40. It started a little bit after 4:40, 4:45. Went on more than an hour and a half. And it was very, very, I guess I would call it was a traditional Trump speech. Same grievances, same talking points, hit President Biden hard on a number of things, most significantly, getting kids back in school. And that was certainly a topic that seemed to resonate with those in the room. Cut 5, please, Danielle.
The Biden administration is actually bragging about the classroom education they are providing to migrant children on the border, while at the same time, millions of American children are having their futures destroyed by Joe Biden's anti-science school closures.
And he went on and hammered him yet again. Cut 4.
Their callous indifference to working families is equally clear when it comes to the critical matter of getting America's children back to school.
That really resonated with the folks at CPAC, and it was one of those things that that I think is an interesting and vulnerability. And President Biden, Vice President Harris, both, when pressed repeatedly about whether or not teachers needed to be vaccinated to go back in the classroom, the CDC says they don't need to be, refused to take a stand, refused to press, didn't use the bully pulpit as much as they could have. And I think that was a vulnerability and left an opening for former President Trump last night. I don't know how much it resonated outside that room. Here in the state of Michigan, we've got 90% of kids that will have the option of going back into class, if not this week, then next week. He hit very hard coming out of the gate on border security. That wasn't even one of the major topics during the, and certainly it's a vulnerability. We've seen a lot of chaos on the border. I don't know how much that resonates. It seemed a little bit older, a little bit tired. But one of the home runs that we saw and heard from him was when he hammered on the topic of cancel culture. Cut 8, please, Danielle.
We reject left-wing lunacy, and in particular, we reject cancel culture.
That was more towards the end of the speech. I was really, really surprised that he didn't front load that he opened with almost a 10-minute discussion on border security and not the hottest of the hot button issues. His staff, his aides, many within the Republican Party hoped that he would stay away from the stolen election theme, that he would let that pass in light of what happened on January 6th. The reason that he wasn't carried on CNN and MSNBC, other than their outright hatred of him, may have been a concern, at least this is what they would say, a concern that he would go into an area that could be inciting. Their word, not mine. And so that would be some of that justification. He didn't take that suggestion. He went hot and heavy, but he did it within the context of election reform. The idea that we can't change the rules without having legislative support. The Constitution is very clear on that. He hammered the Supreme Court for what he called cowardice for not taking up that. But indeed, and he called it illegal. Well, the courts have spoken on it and have said that it wasn't illegal, time and time again. He also went back to the tired, false, and misleading mantra that more people voted in Detroit than there are voters. Anybody can go to the City of Detroit election site, see how many registered voters there are in the City of Detroit, see how many people voted, and see that our turnout was somewhere in the neighborhood of 50%. At no time in any precinct did they have more voters vote than the people that were registered there. One of the other vulnerabilities, and he hit this hard, again, I'm surprised that he didn't do it earlier in the speech because, quite frankly, the first 15 minutes seemed really, really flat, dull, uninspired, been there, done that. But when he targeted on President Biden, he seemed to get more traction. Cut 6, please.
You know, the world is actually a small piece of the universe, right? They're pouring fumes, and we're trying to protect everything and building products for 3 times more than is necessary. No, they could have made a great deal. If they were going to go back in, that's fine. But they could have made a great deal instead of just say, we're back in.
He's talking, and I agree with him on this idea of a missed opportunity, that if you're going to go back into the Paris Climate Accords, you just don't jump back in. You say you get something for that. You say, you know what? We think that you ought to be a little tougher on China. We think you ought to be a little tougher on India. That you've got to dial up their compliance before we're going to get back in. We've already dropped carbon significantly here in the United States. And I think that he made some points there as well. All in all, one of the most interesting parts is, and we'll talk with Eben Brown about this when we connect with him from CPAC in Orlando, is the straw poll that was taken by the McLaughlin Group. Very interesting. More than 95% of Republicans, not surprisingly, at CPAC said, we want to continue Trump policies. We want to continue the Trump values. But when asked, would you vote for former President Trump today in a presidential primary? Only 55% said yes. So what's the takeaway on that? Are they saying right message, wrong messenger? I was surprised that it was that low. And they kept trying to say that there's full Republican unity, and of course we know that is not the case, especially when the president called out the names of those on his enemies list, those that he wants to see primary, including Congressman Fred Upton and Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a leading Republican from Wyoming. Interesting speech. Don't know that it broke a lot of ground, and even more interesting, straw poll. We'll discuss that coming up at 7. In the meantime, we got to check in with Dana Clark, WJR Traffic first.
This report is sponsored by Exergen. Accuracy matters. Get a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen purchased at any retailer. Accuracy matters, especially when it comes to checking for a fever. Exergen's accuracy is backed by published, peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at exergen.com.
Seeing a couple of spots that are moving slow, 75 southbound, stop and go between 12 and 11 mile. Also slow traffic reported along 94 westbound between Gratiot and Van Dyke. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
Gusty northwest wind ushering in the colder air now. We hit 60 yesterday. Today becoming partly cloudy and basically holding steady in the mid and maybe upper 30s.
Don, when you say
Gusty
come on,
northwest
man,
winds
you sound
over
like
40
Biden.
miles an hour, making it feel colder.
The fact is, there's nothing statistically that you can show that says that. And I totally agree with you with the idea that we need to purge the rolls. There were 177,000 people that were flagged that needed to be purged statewide before then. The problem is, and this has been pointed out, 90 days before an election, you can't do anything about it. Federal law says you cannot take people off the rolls within 90 days of a federal election. So you can be as frustrated as I am with Benson, but on that score, her hands were tied. Now we need to make sure that we purge them again and do a better job of it. We also need to make sure that
Delivery
clerks
vehicle.
are actually competent. And that's something that, as we've saw time and again in the last election, I'm not sure that they are when it comes to cleaning up their own rolls. A lot of the power is in the hands of the local clerks. And it does belong there. The problem is that the larger city clerks, the larger townships, people like Tina Barton up in Rochester, really good clerk. The clerk in Bloomfield Township, she's now retired, really great clerk. But too often in smaller jurisdictions, they don't feel very empowered and they're not very well trained. We saw what happened in Macomb County just a couple of years ago. But no, we know how many people voted in the city of Detroit. And it was not more than the registered voters. We know, even with the Deadwood on there, that it wasn't even close. 50%. 50%. And you can argue that maybe it was 70%, but still you can't say. And that's demonstrable. So it's a lie. He knew that it was a lie, and yet he keeps repeating it. Yeah, by the way, for those of you that phoned in during the Salvation Army Radiothon on Friday, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a huge success, and Ann can weigh in on this. Is the notion of what was the technological challenges of getting that radiothon on the air with all of the hosts scattered to the winds and still making it work. It was it was a proud moment for the radio station and a proud moment for the community that it got the kind of support that it received.
And it sounded great. Ray Templin, the engineer who was behind all of that, he really did a marvelous job, as did the digital team, because we can sit and do what we do, but if we didn't have them working on that, they worked long and hard for a long time getting ready and trying to figure out how to do that, and it was really good. I mean, I thought the sound quality was pretty darn
I
clear.
thought the sound quality was great for those that watched online. They really enjoyed seeing Dick Purton again. By the way, Paul Gray wants me to resign. Would you please give me that option?
No.
No,
You
okay.
do not have that option.
All right, Paul, sorry.
Paul.
Ann
He's
says
not-
I
no.
can't.
No. Nope.
Yeah,
He's doing
he doesn't.
a great
He doesn't
job
like
for
my
us.
drivel, apparently.
I know.
Reality really sucks that way. When you can actually see how many voters voted, and you know how many people there are.
I know. I'm with you. I know. But everybody's got an opinion, and
Yes.
thank you for hanging
And
with
we
us,
go
Paul.
ahead and share them. But I'm not resigning today, Paul. Sorry.
No. Ooh, we'd be in big trouble. I'd be.
No, you wouldn't. You'd take over and you'd rock it, and so would Marie.
So you're good coming up here. You've got Tim Meyer. I think it's Major Tim coming up with us. Danielle will tell us if he's on the line. Oh, yes, today is Paul W. Smith's mother's birthday.
Sweet Marie?
Sweet Marie is 95 today. So happy birthday, Sweet Marie. Yes, isn't that wonderful? 95 and going strong.
Is she?
Doing beautifully. Yeah, bless
That's
her heart.
amazing.
Yep. I hope she has a wonderful day. So hang on here. Yes, you are right, Danielle. So let's see here. Is Major Tim there, Danielle?
Pro 6000 or online at windowsroofingsiding.com.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
The goal was 1.6 million, and at 6:57 p.m. when we counted it all out and went to the tote board, it was well over $1.7 million, all thanks to you in the WJR family. Our thanks to the Ford Motor Company Fund, our presenting sponsor, and so many other people that stepped up. But it was our listeners that really came together for us, and we so appreciated what they did. And it was an incredible day. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I can't get to that until we get to S&A, Eye on Engineering with Lindsay Brooke, Automotive Engineering Magazine, brought to you by Continental Automotive, the future in motion. Visit continental-automotive.com to find out more.
The U.S. Postal Service finally has a new mail truck. Oshkosh Defense, based in Wisconsin, won the long-awaited contract to produce more than 160,000
I got ahead of myself. Sorry, Danielle.
Delivery vehicles. It was speculated that the new mail trucks would be electric, but the fleet will be a mixture of electric and gas engines. The duty cycle of local mail delivery
Danielle,
trucks.
I didn't ask for it, and I didn't put it on my list. Do you happen to have the last tote board announcement that Dick made? Did anybody pull that for news or anything else? Do you see it there on your list? If you did, great. If not, I get it.
At Continental, we're working to reduce that number to 0. It starts with driver assist technologies that are available right now. Up to 10,000 lives could be saved if these safety features, such as automatic emergency braking, blind spot detection, and lane departure warning, existed in every vehicle. As one of the world's top tech companies, we're combining our expertise in automated driving and connectivity to make a better world for everyone, today and tomorrow. It takes remarkable technology to make this possible, and Continental is turning big ideas into reality. We're developing 3D sensing technologies that work in adverse weather, a voice-controlled digital companion that enhances the comfort and convenience of your drive, and holographic instrument displays that will make driving more intuitive. For more, visit Continental.com. Continental Automotive, the future in motion.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
Well, as I was saying before I screwed up our rundown here, is that we had a very proud moment here on WJR, and it's a proud moment for the community when everybody can come together and do so much good for so many people. The 34th Annual Bed and Bread Club Radiothon, a huge success. It was a technological challenge, but all props to our engineering team and our management at WJR. They made it happen. We welcome in Major Timothy Meyer, the General Secretary and Metro Detroit Area Commander for the Salvation Army. And those bed and bread trucks will be going out for many, many more days. Major Tim, thanks to the folks that stepped up on Friday. Good morning.
Good morning, Guy. And yes, they sure will. This was a tremendous effort by everybody, not just putting it together, but by carrying it through to the end, even with some technological challenges right in the middle there. Everybody pulled together, and Metro Detroiters made some generous contributions. that made it possible that this program will continue on in strength for this next year, and it's just wonderful.
Remind us of what that $1.7 million will do over the succeeding 12 months.
Well, of course, we have the trucks that go out and feed folks every single day, about 3,600 meals that are served every single day of the year. The trucks go out on some 57 to 60 routes throughout Metro Detroit, and they travel every single day. We also shelter people, 111,000 nights of shelter every year, 300 nights 300 people who are being sheltered every night of the year. And so the food and the shelter will be provided for folks free of charge, of course. And we are just so grateful to WJR listeners, to the whole WJR team. I was trying to think of a good name because everybody was there. Everyone was participating. I want to call you the Rat Pack or something like that.
Well,
And but
I don't know that we're that hip. But we try to be. Yeah, I mean, it was an all hands on deck moment, and it's a proud moment. And I got to tell you, as I said with Dick Burton, it's one of the highlights, if not the highlight of our year, because we have, most of us have been out on those trucks. We have seen those people that have been served. We've seen the need. We've seen, in some cases, the desperation for those that are parents of children. One of the things that we talked about on Friday was a little nugget that I picked up. The Robert W. Johnson Foundation did a survey of food insecurity that was strictly caused by COVID. Not only did the Detroit Congressional District lead America in that, with over 25% of food insecurity increased just because of COVID, but in what is the 11th Congressional District, which is Oakland County and outlying counties, Haley-Stevens District, we lead the nation in the increase of child food insecurity, which really tells you the dire circumstances that many families are facing, and it's not just centered necessarily on Detroit.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm glad your listeners picked up and donated for is that we're all in the same storm together, this COVID storm. You've probably heard the illustration, but we're not all in the same boat. And so while some people may have survived or floated along okay, depending on their job, depending on their source of income, things like that, they may think that other people are doing the same. And the truth of the matter is that a good 25% are in boats that are terribly floundering, being blustered about. And by having this radiothon at this time, and by having so much great support, and you guys enjoy what you do. I know it's for a cause that we wish wasn't necessary, and it's difficult to talk about people who are hungry and hurting sometimes. But you guys did such a good job in sharing what you've personally seen and experienced. Dick Burton came alongside, and he shared from his long-time perspective all that's gone on, and stood behind this, and steadfast. Everyone came forward with donations, with encouragement. You talk about a technological wonder, and I think you guys are pretty hip. If you can pull something off from Haiti throughout the whole United States with all kinds of different things involved, it's just tremendous what WJR did together, and again supported by the Ford Motor Company Fund and so many others. I know Artichoke Garlic Foundation jumped in with a significant gift at there, and the Burton family too. Everybody just really rose to the challenge, set the example. And I appreciate so much your help, your station, and the listeners who generously gave.
Well, it's the listeners that are the key to it, and the generosity of them. Major Meyer, and now comes the hard part. We're well funded. It's now really fighting homelessness and hunger on the streets of Detroit, and we know that you are able to do that and well funded to do that, thanks to the generous listeners in the Radiothon. Thank you so much, and good luck in the coming year. We look forward to seeing you and doing it again next year, hopefully in person.
Thank you so much, Guy. That would be tremendous. That would be wonderful. Yes.
All right. And thanks to you. And again, thanks to the listeners. We cannot thank you enough. Let's get to Dana Clark, WJR Traffic. First, back with more on the Paul W. Smith Show.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International. For kids in poverty around the world, things are still desperate. Join Compassion International with your one-time $40 gift to provide a COVID relief kit to a family in poverty. Text the word GIVE to 83393. That's GIVE to 83393.
Still accident free out there, Guy. A couple of spots are moving slow. 75 northbound, stop and go between 696 and 11 Mile. 75 southbound, seeing some brake lights between 14 Mile and 11 Mile. Accident just coming in along 94 westbound at Van Dyke. A wreck there is blocking the right lane, seeing delays from at least Connor. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Should be a good week ahead. Starting off today, some clouds, some sun. A high of 36 tonight, clear skies, your low 16. For Tuesday, lots of sunshine all day and a high of 40. On Wednesday, hump day, some clouds, some sun, more clouds in the afternoon, but a high of 51. Mostly cloudy, 34 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Marie Osborne in 2 minutes.
So, Ann,
have you seen what's happening with the stock market? Record highs every day.
So I talk with Eben to what, 7:10:30, and then toss it to WJR Business Beat thereabouts.
Yeah, you can have a little bit of leeway there, though. You could go to Eben, till 11 or 12 if you want. That's not the hardest time. If you're introducing Jeff by 12 or 13, you're fine.
Okay.
You got a little play there, and then then you got Sandy at 7:18. So yeah, you can play a little there. I think Danielle will allow it. And then yes, so Jeff is there. Then you've got Sandy. And you're in good shape.
So okay. So we had Sandy on Friday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
During the radiothon?
Excuse me, Thursday.
Okay.
They released it at 11 o'clock or noon on Thursday.
Okay, good.
And
what are the highlights of that you find most interesting?
Well, the two highlights that stuck out to me that were interesting is they did the normal, economic barometer stuff, but they also asked a wide cross section of Southeast Michiganders, how has COVID-19 affected you financially? And what they found was 75% said no big deal.
Wow.
But 25% said major impact or catastrophic.
And who's in that group, the 25%ers?
You got to know it's all folks in hospitality.
Yeah.
And, folks in white collar work, insurance, banking, they've all done fine. Rocket Mortgage posted huge numbers.
Yeah.
The automotives, for the most part, have done pretty well. The housing market is kicking A. I think that something like we had a median increase in price of 35% or something like that.
Wow.
So
and
that was interesting.
Home improvement guys, they're doing
well.
Oh yeah. Because you're home and you see a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah. So the other thing that was interesting to me was the number of business startups over 2020 up hugely, and you see that normally in a deep recession. In this case, we weren't in a deep recession, but you kind of got that benefit anyway, as people, because they were home, because they had extra time. And those that were unemployed were making more money than they would have otherwise in some cases. They've been able to start up businesses.
You know who's been talking about that is Jeff Sloan. He says it's incredible.
Oh, I'm sure for his business it's been. But those were the two takeaways. I mean, the bottom line is this is a K-shaped recovery, and the problem is those that are on the up are really steadily up. Those that are on the down leg of the K, we don't know when they're coming back.
Right.
Or how strongly they'll come back.
And a lot of that will have to do with how quickly, like here, they get these restaurants back open again, right?
Yeah. Those that do open. I mean,
Yeah, that Andiamo story is interesting. Closing the one in, is it Dearborn? I think
Yes.
Joe had to close his Dearborn store, and it looks to me like they lost a lot of money.
Which surprised me because I thought that was one of their anchor stores. I mean, that was one of their anchor locations, right?
I thought so too. Was that one of the ones that was fined?
I can't remember. I thought that the group in general was fined.
Okay.
No, the one that was fined was the big one, the in Warren.
In Warren?
And I think it was because they had a wedding.
Yep.
But then, on the other hand, look at all the restaurants that he purchased. He purchased a batch too, which he was crying poor on the one hand, but then managed to, and that may be because the debt markets are pretty agreeable right now. But
yeah, and the interest rates are so low. Wow. So yeah, it's very interesting to watch who's doing well and who isn't. But hopefully, we're going to come out of this in the next 6 months. Seems like it.
Did you see the thing that I sent you out of the Wall Street Journal? And I don't know if you can get past the paywall, but it was about the long-term learning loss and the study out of Stanford that said that we've got a generation of students that may not be able to get back most of that year, and now it's going into a second year.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. I have I subscribe to the online edition of the Wall Street Journal, so I can get to that. But yeah, it would be interesting to talk to somebody. We should talk to Nikolai Vitti this week. Have you talked to him in a while?
Yeah, I talked to him the day that, he was one of those that was, he was one of the few superintendents on board with saying we need to test students. We need to do the M-step or some kind of an assessment to determine what the learning loss was. And he was kind of the outlier on that. But we had him on, and he made a very strong case, which now the Biden administration has rejected the waiver request from the state superintendent. To say, you got to find out where your baseline is on learning loss. You got to have that M-step. And what they need to do now is to say to districts, we're not going to punish you for performing poorly in a pandemic. We're not going to punish teachers for performing poorly in a pandemic. But we do need to test to make sure we know how much these kids have lost. And that Stanford study says, unless you really have a strong intervention and a lot of summer school, there's a lot of kids that aren't going to get that back. And it will affect their earnings for their lifetime.
Voice. Call 800-854-4534 or go to ejhconstruction.com.
I'll be back.
Margaret Raymond is the economist's name.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
Welcome back in. As we said, it was a coming out party of sorts. I want to give you just a little bit of a hint of what went on at the CPAC down in Orlando. Danielle, give me cut 8 followed by cut 7.
We reject left-wing lunacy, and in particular, we reject cancel culture.
That was the response of the crowd after he said, we love our founding fathers. We love Jefferson, Lincoln, and others who he claims are now being canceled out by the far left. And that's how the crowd responded, by saying, yes, we love our founding fathers, but we love you. So it was a love fest. It was a homecoming of sorts for the former president. Eben Brown was in Orlando for it all. Our Fox correspondent and WJR contributor joins us live. Eben, good morning.
Good morning.
So give us a sense of the overall reception of the speech. I mean, it started out kind of slow, but he certainly made some news early on by saying there will be no third party.
Well, yes, that was one of the big, I think, the big takeaways of the speech. People have been questioning, and when I say people, I mean people not at CPAC, just people who get paid to throw words around, saying that, the Republican Party is in the throes of a civil war. That there would be that the Trump Republicans will be splitting off and forming their own party, or maybe the Never Trumpers would split off and form their own party. It's not really the feeling I got from the entire weekend. Normally when a political party loses an election, there's a lot of disarray and dejection and emotions and anger and blaming people and finger pointing. And while this is the American Conservative Union, it's not the Republican Party as a whole. It is a major part of the Republican Party. There was really none of that. In fact, everyone was in a very, very good mood and very, very positive. For a lot of people, yes, I think they love Donald Trump and they want to see Donald Trump run again. They just absolutely adore the man. But they have also said that what Trump started within their ranks of American conservatives is bigger than Donald Trump, and that if Donald Trump is not going to run again, it's going to be up to them to continue those policies and that advocacy.
Right.
I spoke with many young African American men between the ages of 25 and 35 from many different states who a few years ago did not consider themselves to be political. But they say that they've all benefited and that their home communities have benefited from things like opportunity zones, which was a big part of the Trump administration and often didn't get a lot of attention. But a lot of investment into normally neglected and depressed African-American and Latino communities. And a lot of these people saw their communities, their families, their neighbors' station in life improve over the past few years. And they're afraid that that's going to come to an end, so they're taking it upon themselves to get into Congress maybe and try to fight for those programs or those ideas that they see that benefited them. And even though they come from demographic groups that suggest that they would normally be voting Democratic, they say, well, that didn't get us anywhere for generations.
Right.
It's the first time we've seen progress.
It'll be interesting to see.
Very real palatable thing. Yeah.
And it shows why the Republican Party is so insistent that they have to maintain these working class voters that Donald Trump brought to the party that weren't there before. But it was interesting. There was this straw poll, Evan, that said 95+% said we need to maintain those policies that brought those people into the party. But when asked, would you vote today for former President Trump in a primary, only 55% said yes. What's the takeaway on that? Right message, wrong messenger?
I don't even know if it's wrong messenger at all. I don't think. I think it's just people wondering. Look, he may not want to run. He's dropping hints, of course, but I think that's also a bit Donald Trump being Donald Trump. He likes to play with the crowd. But I think people are trying to say or trying to envision, how do we move forward? Let's think about it. Donald Trump is, if he were to try to run again in 4 years, he'll be 78 years old. He may not want to run again at that point in time. He will have 4 years of kicking back at Mar-a-Lago and may just say, look, I don't need this.
I don't need it.
So the question is, how do we do this without Trump? Because Trump is such a larger than life personality, and everyone understands that. But the question is what happens when there is no more Trump? This can't die with him, and I think is there one person told me. So I think people want to see these ideas be enshrined more so than he, but they love him. They absolutely love him. Absolutely.
Well, that was clear, and even just as important, they love his ideas and his policies and the accomplishments. Very quickly before I lose you, usually CPAC is a place where you can see the rising stars make their first mark. We saw Ben Carson do it a few years back. Yeah. Was there anyone that really hit their stride at CPAC as being the one to watch?
People, it was all a lot of well-known people making speeches. And look, I think making one 5 or 6 minute speech in a bubble is probably not the best indicator of what happens in the future. The thing that impressed me the most were these young men of color from urban communities working the room. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm running against a 12-year Democratic incumbent. I'm getting my campaign off the ground, and I'm doing it because under Donald Trump, my community got better. People's lives improved, and I want to be a part of that. I need to be part of the continuation of that. Can you help me run my campaign? Can you give me any clues? Can you give me? I've never done this before. I'm a novice, and people taking them under their wing. This is the business of politics.
Did you meet any from Michigan or the Detroit area down there that want to do that? I'm sure there's some state Republicans that would love to nurture and mentor a few of those.
I'm sure there were some. I mean, I met a young man from East Brunswick, New Jersey. Historically, in inner city, right?
Right.
I met someone who's doing it, who's from California. Some people running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz here in Florida, which I can tell you is my home district, and she's been considered a safe Democratic seat for decades at this point. And here's someone who's coming along saying, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm going to make inroads. Even if I can bridge the gap in one election, I'm willing to try that. And so that's something I had not seen before within conservative circles. And I think that marks a true shift in who considers themselves to be conservatives in the United States and what the Conservative Party is willing or looking to attract. And if I can say one more thing, there was a lot of consternation on social media over the weekend that from a lot of detractors that the shape of the stage of all things was reminiscent of some kind of Nazi logo, and that this was some kind of neo-Nazi rally. And this was, of course, making the rounds on social media and everything. I'm a Jew, and at the event all weekend was a very large contingent of Orthodox Jews. CPAC for them had a reserved room for prayers for both the Sabbath and the Festival of Purim. There was kosher catering. There were elevators or ways to get up and down on the Sabbath without having to press any buttons. And I have to tell you, it was the worst neo-Nazi rally I've ever been to.
Well, hopefully you haven't had to attend too many of them, Evan. Thank you for those perspectives, both of those especially through the eyes of black Trump supporters and black Republicans that were there, and through the eyes of a practicing Jew who appreciated the fact that whatever kind of white supremacist narrative they wanted to create, you didn't see it. I sure appreciate it. Evan Brown, thanks so much. We appreciate your reporting. We've got to get to our business beat, brought to you by today, My Bank, Michigan's newest bank, built for businesses and the people who run them. Learn more at mi.bank.
It's always good to start a week on good news, and today in the business beat, we've got some. Here it is. The number of people initiating claims for unemployment insurance is dropping.
And Danielle, sorry I got to that so late, but that was a perspective that we weren't going to get anywhere else.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah, no, that was great.
I wish we could get him more often on my show, but they just don't play ball.
Yeah. It like this, I had to wait to get him today. I couldn't get him on Friday.
Well, and when we book them, we never know until 2:00 whether or not we're going to get them. And for a show that starts at 3,
it's hard.
It puts your lead in jeopardy every day.
Yeah. We are aware of this, of course, and Mike and I have talked about it quite a bit. So we're on it because there's a lot of great material there that we could be using.
Well, that was new, different, and something you hadn't heard, and I hadn't heard that on Fox.
No.
He went at that from a totally different angle, and I think the idea of focusing in on these newcomers is a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely really interesting. Okay, so you've got Sandy next, and I think we're all right here. Oh, I like your comment. Don't forget about the business beat. I won't until I do.
It's just.
Well, we have different features than you do.
You would think that I have long haul COVID.
No, I wouldn't think that.
Because Laura will tell you, she will tell me something, and I get so tunnel visioned on whatever it is I'm doing that then I totally forget the other stuff.
I get that though. I mean, because you gotta stay focused in order to do a good job here. And there's a lot of different things. Like there's one thing right after another, and every segment it's a new topic.
Well, and unlike my show where I get a break and we'll take calls, you're just rolling from one thing to the next. Yeah. What happened to Marie at 6:30?
We're kind of like a magazine. She was sitting there. She was there.
Oh, well, Danielle's got to bring her in. Otherwise, I don't know that she's there.
Yeah, Danielle, well, when Marie is there, just note, hey, Marie's ready. And Danielle doesn't do this
No, I understand. No, I just thought that she got caught up in something else.
Yeah, no, you did a good job with that, though. You just kind of rolled.
Well, that's what I do every day with this. I mean, that's why I always call up these sound bites and have them ready, because you can riff a lot off of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. All right. We should be coming back here to Sandy. I'm looking to see Danielle. I'm hoping Sandy is there.
Yeah, Danielle, have we got Mr. Barua?
If you don't mind just putting that in the comments, that would be good. Let's see here. I sent a note to Margaret Raymond. The reason I did that already was because that's a good story. She's in California with Stanford, right? So we would probably need to tape her. And if she answers me, I'll see if she can tape today, right after your 9:05 taping. And then we've got some stuff to get started, because it would, unless she's a really, really early bird and she wants to talk to us tomorrow at like 5:18 California time. But 3 hours. So let's see what she tells me. I asked her if she's an early bird.
They've been working on this study, and they released the preliminary stuff in September of last year.
Okay.
But the Wall Street Journal seized on this new stuff that she was involved in, and it's a
good story.
It is, and it's frightening. The one thing that I tried to get into it with the Grosse Pointe super, and he didn't really take the bait. Didn't answer the question, and admitted he wasn't answering the question. He wanted to tell it in a different way. But this idea that virtual learning has not gone as well as they had hoped, don't we need to be asking why?
Well, the other question,
is it a failure of parents because they don't keep their kids on task?
Right.
Or is it teachers who just don't have the digital chops?
Yeah. Well, the other question, though, is are we sure? I mean, how did all districts struggle with virtual, or is there
you're
a
right.
difference?
I mean, and that seems, and he says that they didn't necessarily.
Right.
That he was very proud of, and that he kind of sidestepped the question, because I said, you guys, this may not have been an issue for you, but what we're hearing, and what I've been hearing, I mean, I've got 3 teachers in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, my God, I sign on, I start to teach, and maybe half the kids are there that are supposed to be there.
Oh.
Okay.
Really?
Which kind of dovetails into this whole notion that people are now running to their doctor to get their kid on ADHD meds because
at 833-600-GOLD.
Again,
now the Oxford Gold Group will teach you everything you need to know about owning real gold and silver. It's so much easier than you think. So call the Oxford Gold Group right now at 833-600-GOLD to get your free gold and silver investment guide. The Oxford Gold Group is the only gold and silver company that I trust, and you should too. Get the Oxford Gold Investment Guide today and learn how easy it is to have real gold and silver delivered to your home, or how to have real gold and silver in your retirement account. Call the Oxford Gold Group today at 833-600-GOLD. That's 833-600-GOLD.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
There was a lot of positive economic news last week. Unemployment claims fell precipitously, surprising a lot of people. The numbers for housing, especially new homes, were very strong. We know the market's been riding high, almost in record territory. A lot of good things out there economically, hinting at a comeback. But the state of our region is a little bit more problematic than that. And we welcome in Sandy Barua, the president and CEO of the Greater Regional Chamber of Commerce. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, good morning, Guy.
We hear the term K-shaped recovery a lot, and I noticed when I was reading your report, you point to that as well here in Southeast Michigan. Exactly, for those of us that are lay people, what does K-shaped mean, and who's on the lower leg?
Yeah, I mean, certainly this K-shaped recovery or K-shaped economy is something that's frankly not new, Guy. It's been growing in our society over the last 20, 30 years. And that is the dynamic when a big chunk of our population and a big chunk of our industries are really thriving and doing well, while simultaneously the people who are struggling even more. And while this kind of K-shape was seen in our economy before COVID, it has really accelerated during COVID. So those without the right skills, people, especially if they fall into a minority class, Black and brown people, they are really struggling more proportionally than those who aren't.
So are we struggling more than other states and other parts of the nation, or are we maybe a little bit ahead of the curve or behind?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And to the extent that, like say, if you just take the city of Detroit, obviously, I mean, we are a city that is 98% African American. And so therefore, just, by nature, we have businesses that are owned by African Americans, but they are not doing as well as their white counterparts. To give you a quick little example, the PPP loans that the federal government have been offering and have been such a lifeline for small businesses, only 44% of the PPP loans that were given out in the city of Detroit went to Black-owned businesses when we're a city of 98% Black.
Well, and now that they're opening up the window to small businesses with 20 or fewer employees, hopefully some of that will be rectified and that PPP money can be directed at those people that didn't get through on the first round. I was also intrigued by the individual survey that you did. When you asked people, how has this financially impacted you individually, that being COVID, that was really, for me, an eye-opener.
Yeah, and that's another example of the K-shape. So throughout the last year, we did polling with our polling partners, the Glenn Garrett Group, statewide. And we found that throughout the year, this did not change since COVID began, when we asked the question, has COVID impacted you financially? 75% of the respondents said, no, not really, we're fine. 25% consistently said it has had a major or a catastrophic impact on our household finances. And then again, there's that K-shape again, right? 75% either holding steady or even thriving, 25% barely hanging on.
And to me, that is, it shows that maybe as we send out these $1,400 checks to 90% of Americans, at least that's the initial, it may get changed in the Senate, but it just is so frustrating that we can't better target those relief dollars to the people who are really been harmed in this, that it's a shotgun rather than a laser. And it certainly, your survey shows we need a laser. The governor hinted last week that in terms of gatherings and office work, in terms of nursing home visitations, and maybe even restaurants, that she will relax some of the restrictions that we're under right now. But over the weekend, we heard Dr. Fauci and the new director of the CDC saying, no, now is not the time to relax anything. What do you think she's going to do?
I think she is going to relax a little bit. I mean, she has been, I know a lot of folks criticize her, but, she's been fairly data driven here, and she's seeing the numbers in Michigan looking, not great. I mean, we are not where we were last summer. We are just in much better condition than we were, like right before Thanksgiving, right? Right before Thanksgiving, we were in terrible situation health-wise. We're much better now. I think she's going to respond to that. I don't think she's going to open up the floodgates, but, myself and my business counterparts, we've urged her, hey, listen, go ahead and open up businesses, office-based businesses, at least a little bit. One, to restore some sense of normalcy. Two, even before businesses really, had to stop being in the office, they weren't really a spread of COVID because businesses, professional office spaces are handling it well. But thirdly, just importantly, think of all the small businesses that are really reliant on, people like me who traditionally work downtown and, shop downtown, have lunch downtown. Obviously I'm not doing that, from my den in Grosse Pointe. So let's open up businesses again so we can get that trickle of regular office workers into, the office cores in Troy and downtown Detroit and Warren and other places.
God knows it's time. Sandy, I've only got 30 seconds, but before I let you go, one of the bright spots, business startups. Give us some insight into that.
Yeah, that's the other good story, is that we are not going to have what we had a dozen years ago when, America got a cold, Michigan got the flu. We are going to accelerate out of this economic condition. One, because we've seen a year-over-year increase in small business starts of 42%. Our unemployment rate is looking good. Consumer confidence is much better than it was 12 years ago. We are looking for a nice recovery later this year.
I'll end on that bright spot every time, Sandy. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, Gord.
Okay, and you too. And you can read much more about this. Really interesting reading, and you can find that at the Detroit Regional Chamber website or perhaps in Cranes. Let's get to Dana Clark, WJR Traffic first.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Sometimes a hiring freeze happens because you can't find the right people. So follow the warming trend to Indeed. They have tools to help you find the quality candidates you need to help your business. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
94 westbound at Van Dyke, earlier accident is clear. Still seems delays from at least French Road. 75 northbound, slow between 696 down to 11 Mile. On the flip side of 75 southbound, tapping the brakes between 12 and 11 Mile. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. As we continue to face COVID-19, we're now facing flu season. Protect us all. Let's hit this virus head on. Get your flu vaccine. Learn more at michigan.gov/flu. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. In for a warm up for the rest of the week, starting with today, some sun, some clouds mixed, a high near 36. Tonight, clear skies, low 16. Tuesday, lots of sun all day, hitting 40. Cloudy skies, 34 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Marie Osborne in 2 minutes.
From the advanced composites in the roof of an iconic off-road vehicle to the toughest pickup truck box available, a next-generation electric vehicle battery case, or the complete body of a world-class performance car, Continental Structural Plastics is going beyond expectations to reduce vehicle weight, improve performance, and enhance design flexibility. Infinite possibilities powered by science, brought to you by Continental Structural Plastics, a Tajan Group company. Learn more at cspplastics.com.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, the only sportsbook I use. The app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like.
So, Ann, what do you think tomorrow about doing the lawmaker that wants to have the bars open until 4 a.m.? And is that something you want to take calls on?
Sure, we could try it.
Just a couple of them?
Absolutely.
I don't want to get us overbooked with stuff because we got the ADHD thing, but that can also, I mean, that's an evergreen. We can.
What about the I like the state lottery lawmaker too, about making it private.
Yeah, we had a really good discussion about that. And not, for those that are watching online, I don't want to, spoil the spoiler, but it's really interesting how many people on my show said, I want to see people win. Because if not, I'm just going to assume that that the state's pocketing the money. The level of suspicion and mistrust of the state is so huge that on a multi-state lottery winner, now this would only affect the Powerball Mega Millions, the multi-state winners who earn the huge chunks of money. And I mean, I think the lawmaker makes a pretty powerful argument that it's a security issue, that it really is. When you're talking about more than $1 million, that especially if there's children involved, if there's kidnapping concerns and things like that. I don't know that they're really that well founded, but it's.
But I mean, this big one, first of all, isn't it interesting that no one's come forward on the big one so far?
Yeah.
Really interesting. Do you think it's because there is no ticket, like somebody lost it, or is it because they're afraid to because of this incredible amount of money and people
or they're getting their ducks in a row? But so I guess the question becomes, if you, and we'll let our Facebook commenters chime in on this. How important is it for you to see someone holding up that big, silly foam core check? Does that, A, make the lottery's credibility greater, and B, does it inspire you to go out and buy more lottery tickets saying that could be me? Because that's the argument that the lottery commissions are saying, who don't want anonymity, that it's a marketing tool, that it inspires people. The billboard showing me the amount that the jackpot has grown to, that's what inspires me to buy a ticket. Not the memory of some guy in Canton that won it however many months ago or years ago. What's that?
Sometimes you don't even remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember any of those people. But I mean, when I see that, and Gail is so funny. I mean, when she says,
Lori says people have a right to privacy. What does Gail say?
It's just like she's not going to buy a ticket until it's like well beyond a couple $100 million.
I'm with Gail. I do the
know?
same thing. Paul makes fun of me about it. I'm like, oh no, it's not time yet. Isn't that funny? And it makes no difference. It's like, whatever. But yeah, no, I wait till it's a really big jackpot before I even slightly get involved, thereby lowering my chances.
Well, I know, and statistically, we've had people explain that you only need to buy one ticket. Your odds don't improve by buying 20 tickets.
Right, that's true too.
So
Don says there is distrust with anything government. He's right.
When you say, but interesting, the presumption of his questions is that the lottery somehow is going to make a difference in school funding. It was never intended to. It's supplemental.
How much do they get? Do you know?
It's like was it like $800 million or something like that?
Per year?
Yeah, something like that. But it's like less than 20% of the revenue.
So
and that's to Lori's point. Yeah. How many predators are out there? Look at how many scam artists there are out there now going after elderly people, dangling the prospect of getting a vaccine.
No, it's true. Look at Kelly. Kelly says she'd rather not have to go into hiding. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it would be awkward.
Oh, I think as great as everybody thinks it would be, it's going to change your relationships. It's going to change even the relationships with your family, because if you got some that are in need, they're going
to feel bad if you don't help them out.
Exactly. There's all these expectations that come with it, which people have no right to that expectation, I would argue, but
they do. But they feel like they do.
Yeah. All right. Well, based on your comments, folks, maybe we'll do that later this week.
Yeah, that's one. And the bars. I like the bars because I think that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'll flat out tell you, they should not stay open until 4 o'clock.
But couldn't you make an argument that the drunks that are going to drink and drive are going to do it at 9 p.m. or at 5 p.m. after happy hour? Or, and I'm sure Mad has statistics on that.
Yeah, probably. But what's
you
the point?
get your drunk drivers after midnight because they don't know when to quit.
But do you really need 2 more hours? For what? Nothing good, as Bo Schembechler said. Nothing good happens after, what did he say? After dark or after midnight?
I think nothing. It was, and I think wasn't that an old mom's axiom, was nothing good happens after midnight?
I still think that,
Well, you're a mom.
I'm a mom. I think absolutely nothing good. If the bars close, and what would they be? Why are they pushing for that?
I assume it's just extra revenue and to get the late shifters that are coming off.
That's what Don brings up. Don says,
yeah,
with 3 shifts, shouldn't everyone have equal access to going to bars?
Don, I was a third shifter for a lot of years, and I couldn't get out when I was doing the 11 o'clock. Usually you couldn't get where you were going until midnight. You're all wound up from work. You're not going to go home and go to sleep. And when I was single, you would go to the bar and you would be responsible, but at 2 o'clock you were done.
Now, Lori says, how about if they stop serving alcohol at 2 and then let people
on WJR.
Well, but they're getting, where's the financial incentive to do that? It'd be like the people at Starbucks that sit there and do their homework 2 hours after they order.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
So we all want to get back to normal, no question about that. And it's always nice to have something to look forward to. Well, we've got something that covers both of those needs. Anne-Marie Buruki is the Director of Arts and Culture for Midtown Detroit, Inc., with an announcement about a wonderful event that we haven't seen since 2017 that will be returning. Anne-Marie, good of you to join us.
Thanks for having me.
So give us the announcement. Something happened with DTE Energy Foundation and my friends in Midtown. We're going to be a lot of lights twinkling.
Yeah, we're really excited to announce that we are bringing back the electricity the September 24th and 21st, or 24th and 25th, with DTE as our presenting sponsor, And along with our other funders, the William Davidson Foundation, the Kresge Foundation, the Knight Foundation, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, and the Detroit Institute of Arts.
So for those that didn't attend back in 2017, paint a picture for me with words. What does it look like?
Sure.
What will we see?
So De-Electricity is a nighttime festival. And when you come out to Detroit's Cultural Center or Beacon Park, you're going to see lots of video projections on buildings, light sculptures around, interactive activities, although done safely and a little bit different this time, where families can partake in activities using light. It's a great way to walk around and explore the architecture of this district in a new way, but light everywhere, video everywhere, new media, cool sculptural things that you probably haven't seen before. It's a really beautiful, stunning nighttime display of art.
Well, we already have the Golden Tower of the Fisher Building. What are you going to do to the lower extremity of the building? What are you going to do to our home?
Well, we're not doing anything to that building. It's a little bit north of our footprint.
Okay, Paul W. and I will get out with our flashlights. We'll get some really big batteries, okay? And we'll do some awesome shadow puppets, okay?
That would be amazing. We would add you as a satellite location for the festival for sure.
There you go.
We're working with the area that includes Wayne State University, the Detroit Institute of Art, the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, and then we also have Beacon Park as one of our satellite locations and part of this overall footprint for De-Electricity.
And hopefully many of us by then will already have had the vaccine, and we will have cases go down. Is there an opportunity that if we see a dramatic drop, that maybe we can do more interactive stuff?
There's always that potential. I mean, what we're doing right now is planning for the worst, but hoping for the best. And I mean, we've put together a really great committee of public health officials, security officials, from both the city, the state, and our partners at NSF International to try and create the safest experience possible for the public coming down. I mean, the numbers look good, with where we're headed with COVID. At the same time, you just never know what could happen next. So, I mean, we're preparing, like I said, for the worst. And if things are good, then maybe there will be the opportunity to do a lot more interactive activities.
In terms of the lights, and it's a dramatic light show. And what other things can the kids do? Will there also be street performers and things like that we can watch at a social distance?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't filled out our program fully yet because we are operating under a little bit of uncertainty right now. We've always in the past have been filled with performances, DJs, different types of light displays, whether it's, cosplay, Star Wars, and actors. I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. I mean, this year, what will be different is that the event will be strictly outdoors for safety purposes. So we're definitely trying to connect all the way from Wayne State over to the College for Creative Studies to the Wright Museum. And that will include just basically kind of connecting the dots of infilling with different arts installations. Scattered here with some different interactive activities with music and then also some safe food and drink opportunities as well, all outside.
Well, and one of the most exciting parts is we've got the queue line operating now that can get you up and down the Woodward Corridor there, but that's a very walkable area as well, so you can get some good exercise out there.
You can, and I mean, and it's so easy to park right near the cultural center as well. I mean, sometimes it's to your benefit to park a little bit further away, walk in, get that exercise, and then get out quicker from the area when you're ready to leave. So, I mean, it's a great area to walk through. It's also an exciting time, too, because we're also embarking on a large master planning effort for the cultural center. And so we're looking to get the public's feedback on proposed changes for this district, in future years.
Well, we will look forward to it. We need something to look forward to. I'm going to put it in my phone right now, September 24th and 25th. D-Electricity, illuminating the city of Detroit's Midtown area with lots of music, performers, but just a whale of a light show that everybody can enjoy. Anne-Marie, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Just one of many exciting things happening in Midtown Detroit. Let's get to Dana Clark, WJR Traffic first. We've got a WJR Cares Day to let you know about, and we will do that next on the Paul W. Smith Show. Dana?
This report is sponsored by Compassion International. For kids in poverty around the world, things are still desperate. Join Compassion International with your one-time $40 gift to provide a COVID relief kit to a family in poverty. Text the word GIVE to 83393. That's GIVE to 83393.
Well, the roadway's not looking too bad. Earlier accident along 94 is clear. New collision reported in Detroit 94 eastbound right before Livernois. That wreck is blocking the right lane. Slow traffic from Michigan Avenue. 696 westbound. Slow ride between DeQuinder and 75. Now WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel.
All the way up to 60 yesterday, short of a record by 4 degrees. Now the colder air continuing to spill on in. You'll feel it today with a gusty northwest breeze around. Not quite done with winter yet. Becoming partly cloudy, windy, and let's just say steady temperatures in the mid-30s all day. Much colder tonight.
So, Ann,
outlying area.
I'm so excited that you've got Angel's Place on. The president of their board is a good friend.
Of yours?
Yeah, Lynn Gates. She's down in North Carolina visiting her grandkids. So, but I'm delighted we have Cheryl. I think I've been to their last 3 fundraisers.
It's a great charity.
Yeah, their next, God willing that if they have their next fundraiser, and I'm not quite sure when it's scheduled for, and I'll ask Cheryl about that. But they're going to have Lynn Gates' brother speak.
Oh.
They had her husband's cousin in to speak, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball.
Oh, wow.
And it was terrific. A few years ago, they had Kirk Gibson as their MC, and they said they've never seen anything like it. Kirk managed to extract more money in the live auction than any professional auctioneer they've ever used. He was just over the top crazy. And I missed that one, which I would have loved to have seen, but it's such a wonderful charity.
It is a great charity. I didn't know that they had 20 homes.
Yeah. And adding more all the time. And think about the responsibility of that, especially with COVID now. We've got this shortage of home care workers, and I'll ask her about that.
Mm-hmm.
And, how daunting that has been for them, getting enough people.
It costs $62,000 per resident per year to provide care for one of the residents. How many residents are in each home? Do you know?
I wanted to say it was between 6 and 8, but I could be wrong.
And has COVID changed that? Did they have to lower the number or
That's a
no?
really good question.
The other question is, I don't see on here is how do we donate to that? I know it's probably on our website, right? Let's look at that.
I'm glad you said that. Let me pull it up on another tab here.
I have so many tabs open. It's funny.
I know.
Yes, we can go to the front of our website. Looks like a takeover for Angel's Place. It's very cool. So you can just go to wjr.com and there's a button here. Yeah, and you can just donate. You have to click through if you don't see it.
Right.
But it says all over the front page, National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Your gift will be matched. And then it says donate today.
One of my good buddies has a son that's developmentally disabled, and he's now got to be closing in on, I think, 30, 35. He's my oldest boy's age.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is one of my buddies that got COVID. He already had underlying health conditions. He is still struggling, but he and his wife are really active right now raising money because they're going to build a house for their son through Angel's Place.
Oh.
And then house 7 others or, a half dozen others.
That's awesome.
But they want to make sure that if they're not here, that that he's going to be taken care of, and so they're doing everything they can. It's really cool.
It's
Just
perfect. It is a nonprofit that's like perfect. It's a perfect solution for parents that worry about this, and it has to be a huge burden for them worrying about it constantly.
well, and it's
Really
the
nice,
life
very.
expectancy on some of these individuals is significantly lower than your average person. And what we saw at fundraisers with people that had even lost their 50, 60-year-old child, they're in their 80s, they're still showing up. Still showing up and supporting it. It's
And the
just
camaraderie that they develop and the skills, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thing to do.
How am I
So
doing on time,
you're good.
Danielle? Am I all
I
right?
think, in my opinion, you're good. Danielle may tell me I'm wrong,
I
but
took liberties with Eben because I wanted to make sure that
I think she'd be yelling at us if we were in trouble. She doesn't yell, but I think she'd be speaking sternly to us.
that's the one thing I don't miss is Brian's glowering.
Yes, he needed a break too, so he was glowered out.
Yeah,
So
okay, so the last few times I filled in, Brian hasn't been here. I'm going to start taking it personally.
no, he just needs.
I miss seeing him.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
This is a WJR Cares Day, and that means if you go to our webpage right now, WJR.com, your opportunity to donate to truly, truly one of the finest nonprofits that we have in our area. And I'm talking about Angel's Place, that provides homes and support to so many of the developmentally disabled individuals in our community. And we're joined by Cheryl Loveday, who's Angel's Place Executive Director. Cheryl, good morning to you. We're so excited to be doing this all day long on WJR.
Well, good morning, Guy. It's such a beautiful day, and it's such a wonderful opportunity. We really appreciate WJR sponsoring this.
You tell your board chief, Lynn Gates, that I'm taking it personally, that it's my good family friend, that she didn't come on today. I think she's down visiting grandkids. I think she's doing something else.
Oh, yep. She wouldn't have missed it if it weren't for the grandchildren. So, stiff competition.
I forgot to radio shame her when she texted me last night, but yeah, I mean, so many fine people. Just give us a sense of how many individuals you serve through Angel's Place. We're talking about over 20 homes now, smaller homes. And how many people per home?
It does range. Our largest home serves 6 individuals, and our smallest home serves 3. So anywhere, I would say on average 4 individuals. And soon we'll be having our 21st home, which is going to open in the late summer, early fall. So we're really excited about that. But we serve 93 individuals currently residentially. And pre-COVID, we had a pretty robust enrichment program where that provided daily activities and opportunities to learn and grow to about 40 individuals through those programs, as well as some activities and outings and just a lot of fun things. But, since COVID, we've really had to modify our program.
And I know that you have such a dedicated group of supporters. Many of them, and we should tell people how this started, Cheryl. I mean, this was started many years ago by some parents of developmentally disabled individuals that as they grew older were worried about who would take care of this very special person should they pass away.
Right.
And that was really the genesis for all of these homes.
It really was. Talk about mother's might. It was started with 2 nurses who didn't even know each other, Guy. They just looked across the cafeteria and they were both eating alone and decided to sit together. And that sparked the conversation that Anne Marie shared about her daughter Charlotte to Loretta. Loretta then took that message to some of her friends, and then 5 moms. I think the story goes that she brought her address book, and they all brought their address book and just started to talk to individuals about this huge need for families when they have a child with an intellectual or developmental disability, just the tremendous weight that they carry, their concern about who's going to care for them when they're no longer here. So that started in 1992. So we're looking at 29 years ago, and no one is more surprised than those 5 moms. And we have hundreds of families who are just so grateful that they took their passion and really made something happen. So it's a wonderful thing that they've done.
And it's not just about taking care of them. It's also about giving them a measure of independence as well. But that comes with a cost, and it's about $62,000 per resident. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and we've been covering it on my show, is the shortage of home health care workers. Has that affected you? And are there also some opportunities for those that may want to serve in one of these homes?
Absolutely. Honestly, the staffing crisis is debilitating to providing services to the individuals that we care for and across our nation. It's a national issue. It certainly is hitting Michigan and our local region very hard. We have numerous openings within our homes, and when we have 300 people on a wait list who are hoping that we can open additional homes in the future. And when you have so many open positions and have difficulty staffing the homes you currently have in a manner that is safe and provides quality and empowers people, that can be a huge paralyzing factor to growth. So it's an issue that causes a great concern. You may know that the legislature is looking at how to continue this $2 an hour increase, which we don't even know. It expired last night, and we don't even know what is going to be the outcome of that. Thankfully, our local CMHs have agreed to continue that for the next month, but that's pretty scary should that disappear for those we employ, our teammates. But it is, Guy, it's a kind of work that feeds your soul, and it is so mission driven. And so it's a wonderful job. It's very rewarding, and it's great to be a part of these folks' lives. And I encourage people who want to make a difference in the world to give us a call and, try to help out, try to lend a helping hand. We also rely on volunteers. We have many people have agreed to volunteer in our homes and help provide that care, get trained and provide that care through volunteerism. So, but the need is huge. It is huge.
Well, we urge people to go to WJR.com and help defray the expenses, this $62,000 per person expense. In many cases, those individuals are sponsored by other people, but we still need a tremendous amount of help to make sure that they can be provided for over the next 12 months. And so we urge you, it's very simple. Go to WJR.com. At the top of the page, you will see the WJR Cares logo. If it's one of those things that's cycling through, wait for it. It will pop up. Click on it, and that will take you to the Angels Place website where you can make a donation. And can you give me an equivalency, a donation of $120? What would that go towards?
Well, literally that will go towards keeping our doors open. Every dollar counts in that manner. Our cost to disinfect and keep the houses operational in this time is it's just getting more and more costly. So a $125 gift will literally keep our doors open, little by little, drop by drop.
And also keep those residents healthier during the pandemic. And
yes.
Cheryl, we wish you well. When is the next normal fundraiser, in-person fundraiser? I think Lynn's brother is set to speak. When will that be?
Well, that's going to be in November. That's our annual dinner. And then we do have Angels Place race coming up in Clarkston on May 15th. I'm not sure. I think they think it might need to be virtual. And then our golf outing in July. So please visit our website and take a look at those events. They're really a lot of fun.
Either way, please support this very, very fine nonprofit that's doing angels work, truly. Angels Place. Cheryl, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you at the next fundraiser.
Thanks, Guy. Have a great day.
You too. News Talk 760 WJR, Marie's News, Dana's Traffic, and then much more on the Paul W. Smith Show. We've got the best riverfront in the nation. We'll talk to the gentleman that helped make it so next on the Paul W. Smith Show. Dana?
This report is sponsored by Compassion International. For kids in poverty around the world, things are still desperate. Join Compassion International with your one-time $40 gift to provide a COVID relief kit to a family in poverty. Text the word GIVE to 83393. That's GIVE to 83393.
94 eastbound right before Livernois. Accident is blocking the right lane. Slow from at least Michigan Ave. 696 westbound slow between 11 Mile and 75. And 75 northbound tapping the brakes between 8 and 11 Mile. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. As we continue to face COVID-19, we're now facing flu season. So to protect us all, let's hit this virus head on. Get your flu vaccine. Learn more at michigan.gov/flu. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. About 25 degrees colder today, but we get some sun, some clouds mixed in, a high of 36 tonight. Clear skies, your low 16. Lots of sunshine all day on Tuesday and a high of 40. 35 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Marie Osborne in 2 minutes.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem.
10 gallons of gas, cash or credit?
Yesterday's lottery ticket won't fill up your tank because when you're feeding a gambling problem,
okay, your grocery total is $98.
it's difficult putting food on the table, paying your bills, and keeping your life together. If you or a loved one is struggling with gambling, get free confidential help at michigan.gov/problem gambling. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live.
You doing okay, Guy? You need anything? You've got the Matt Cullen.
Maybe a B12 shot?
So you've got Matt Cullen stuff. You've got our fun little thing about marriage during coronavirus. And Steve will be involved in the Tom Izzo interview. Yesterday was a very tough game.
Oh, God, they came out so flat.
Yeah, and Tom did say that bad start
Killed them.
Yeah. The other thing is on that, they play Michigan twice this week.
I know, which is kind of like basketball heaven. I mean, especially, but you don't know which team's going to show up. The team that played Maryland poorly or the team that played Ohio State so well.
I know. And it's the Michigan State rivalry, so you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but Steve will be there on that. He won't be in StreamYard, but he'll be on the line.
No, that's fine. I'll let him handle it. But it was just, it was sad coming out of the gate. I was really hoping we would have, because they've got Michigan twice, and then don't they have one more top 5 team that they're playing? I want to say.
So let me see. I think you're right. MSU basketball. So the first game with Michigan is the 4th, right? Which is Thursday. Let's see here. Wait a minute. They play Indiana tomorrow night first.
Yeah. That's the game that.
That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Then they play Michigan's. Oh man, they've got a rough week. Then they play Michigan on Thursday. Then they play again on Sunday. So tomorrow night.
Hoosiers, Wolverines.
Yeah. They really need to win all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because.
Well, after the loss yesterday, the bubble just got thinner.
So if they beat Indiana and they beat Michigan once, then what would happen?
That's a really good question. And apparently, and I didn't see it, but Tom was being asked about the formula that the NCAA uses to determine who gets in and who doesn't.
Uh-huh.
And he said, he doesn't like the criteria that they use. There's some things in the formula that are kind of wiggy.
Oh.
So I don't know if Steve will get into that. That's a little inside baseball stuff, but I think that it does matter as we get closer to this.
Yeah. And then we have Frank at 8:48, as long as he doesn't have connection problems. And we'll have Danielle check that for us ahead of time.
Okay.
I think last time.
Does he usually telegraph us in terms of what he wants us to tease, or does he?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can. I would talk to him maybe about CPAC.
CPAC for sure.
So he probably kept a close eye on that. Trying to think what else he'd be. I bet he's watching CPAC. Although he usually comes up with something else kind of interesting. That he's found. So we'll see what he says about that. And then, then we're good to go. Then you need to go take a nap. But you won't take a nap. You'll go.
Oh, I've got
walking.
I'm loaded with so much coffee. No, I got to go. So I'm going to the chiropractors at 10 o'clock. Good Dr. Kirsch. Yeah. Okay. I've this summer I think you remember, my back blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so still kind of working with that, and I wanted to make sure I got fixed before I went down to Florida. And then I'm playing in a paddle tennis tournament, and I kind of irritated my knee, but we've got a big match Wednesday night because right now we're undefeated. This is a round robin tournament, and we've not lost.
Is this outside? Did you tell me this was outside?
Yeah, it's outside, and you play it in a cage, and you can play it off the wires and stuff. It's so much fun, and it gets your heart pumping.
It's a good workout.
Outdoors. And it's funny, the club that I belong to, normally all the guys that play squash in the winter, they don't want to be in an enclosed space breathing heavily.
No.
So they've moved outdoors to play paddle tennis. That means we're seeing some guys that are really great athletes who we haven't seen play before. And it's really
awesome.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Plus it's a great activity to be outside.
I've got this great partner who's 30 years younger than I am, but we walk out onto the court, and our first two opponents, both of them say, "Hey, Mr. Gordon, we went to school with Whitson." And I'm like, "Oh, great. I am playing two guys my oldest son's age."
Wait, can you beat these guys?
We took them down in straight sets.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I'm not fast, but I'm quick enough I can get around that smaller court.
But do you guys, do you and your partner then go somewhere and practice to be ready for the match?
No. We'll play in a ladder. We'll play in like a regular recreational ladder thing. But I haven't been playing because I'm resting my knee between every one of our matches. So
Okay.
But it's good fun, and it's a great sport that gets you outdoors. I also got up north to ski Boyne Highlands last weekend.
I saw a picture. It looked like you guys had a blast.
Oh, it was a pure Michigan. It was so warm in the sunshine. We didn't mind that we couldn't go indoors to eat lunch.
Yeah. So is that the scoop on that? There is no indoor.
25% capacity, just like any restaurant, but everybody goes in at the same time.
Okay.
So they maxed out 25% by 11 a.m. But they've got a couple of food trucks outside and things like that.
Tailored just for you. With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
Boy, the USA Today and its readers giving Detroit really one of the ultimate compliments as they announced that the Detroit Riverwalk as the best riverwalk in America, telling us what we already knew, but boy, is it nice to hear coming from the lips of others. And I'm sure no one was more pleased about that than the men at the other end of our line, the board chairman of the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy, Matt Cullen. Matt, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Guy. How are you?
Listen, we're in that's a pretty competitive group there. I mean, we're talking Boston's Esplanade and San Antonio's Riverwalk, which are both legendary. When you talk to the judges, what was it other than the beauty of it that they singled out?
Well, first off, it's a great honor, and we're really excited about it. I think it's an international river walk. The span of it, I mean, it's almost 14 miles. I mean, ultimately, we're working on 5.5 right now. I mean, I think all of those are really important. I think the fact that it's become such an integral part of our city and something that people come from all over to enjoy. But a really cool part of it, Guy, is that it at the end of the day, it was the result of votes from our community, and our community came together in a way that outshined the others, and people kind of voted that this was the best river walk, and it got that level of attention on a national basis, which is terrific for all of us.
Well, and also just the diversity of things there. Not only can you fish, and you've got, great things happening just in terms of the breadth of what you can walk from park to park, but you've also got the Milliken Park, which is a pretty special place.
The Milliken Park is terrific, as was the man who we named it after. Yeah. Just a beautiful natural environment that showcases what takes place throughout the state. I mean, the new Robert Valade Park is amazing, and people are down there throughout the winter now. As you say, there's there you can go to a cafe and get a warm cocktail as you watch the kids sled, and there's more all the time. We have more construction this year than we've ever had in our history. As we finish up the east, we're going to have groundbreakings on Uniroyal. We're working on connecting now to the west, and of course the ultimate vision as we go west will be the Ralph C. Wilson Park, which is going to be unprecedented as well. So what's really fun for us is, we've been voted the best, and yet, we have a lot more to go, and it's going to be more terrific all the time.
So give us the timeline on Uniroyal. I mean, I've been watching that space since I came to town in 1984. I mean, it's the most developmental, promising piece of land that we have along the riverfront that has, to some degree laid fallow for a long time. When will you be able to finish that important link?
Well, we're going to break ground on it this year, and you're right, it's terrific. And obviously, the city's taking the lead on getting it cleaned up. There were some environmental issues there, and so on. But the river's edge, we worked with the Corps of Engineers and the EPA and cleaned up some of the sediment in the river. And now we're going to be on the land this year, and working on that link. We've done the one in front of Riverfront Apartments. We're going to move west onto the DNR property. There's a tremendous amount underway. And you're right, it is such a legacy project, right? I mean, we really have, over the course of the last 20 years, which is when I started working on this, we've gone from worst to first, from a riverfront. It's unbelievable, the change. And it's a result of a lot of vision from a lot of people, great support from folks like General Motors, first and foremost, the Kresge Foundation, the City of Detroit, and now all kinds of other people joining us. The Conservancy has raised all of the money to redevelop it, and which over $200 million so far, and more than $2 billion worth of development. So it's been a labor of love for all of us, and I think it's made a tremendous change on how people view the city of Detroit.
And Matt, one of the things that the pandemic has taught us is just how important it is to invest in these outdoor spaces, because in terms of participation and use, the DeQuinder Cut, the Riverwalk have been just godsends for people dying to get out of the house.
Well, they sure have, and you're right. So we have 3.5 million visitors in 2019. In 2020, you think, well, you're not going to have near as many people down there because the offices aren't open and so on. We actually had a 20% increase in the utilization of the Riverwalk and a 40% increase in the utilization of the DeQuinder Cut. And as you suggest, Guy, I mean, people just wanted to get outside. They wanted to, have a safe place to go out and visit with people, see people, and just sort of a place to, whether they want to read a book or go for a walk or just to sort of contemplate nature. All of those things are available, and people really took advantage of it.
And as proud as we are of the $2 billion in an investment that has given this wonderful return and this national recognition, we also got to tip our cap to the folks across the river, Matt, who've worked hard to keep their riverfront looking good too. It's in a way, it's a twin win, isn't it?
Well, it sure is. I mean, and you make a great point. So, I was thinking back as I was, calling in this morning, and it was 25 years ago, 1996, that General Motors, and I was a GM at the time, obviously, and made the decision, a very courageous decision, to buy the Renaissance Center.
Yeah.
And the Renaissance Center at the time was kind of half full, and it wasn't being taken care of, and the riverfront was busted up parking lots and abandoned cars. And you think of how different, the city would have been had GM not made that decision. But to your point, then, I mean, we bought the Renaissance Center, and I was sitting up there in one of those windows looking out, and you look at the Windsor waterfront, and you go, I mean, how great is that? And why can't we do that? I mean, why does ours look like this with the cement silos and all of those kinds of things? And so for a long time, we did have riverfront envy. There's no question about it. And now, I mean, we, with the leadership of a lot of great folks, we've been able to sort of, match our friends on the other side and create a spectacular waterfront now that people can enjoy, on both sides of the, what's really unprecedented is that beautiful international waterway too. So it's really unique in that regard as well.
Well, and all the TV stations have that as their money shot behind them when they're doing the weather, because it has become, as you say, the envy of many in the rest of the nation. Matt, congratulations on the honor. Congratulations to the folks that voted for us on USA Today's 10 Best Readers' Choice Travel Award contest. And we sure appreciate all of the time and talent you've put into it, Matt.
Hey, I can't go without a shout out quick to the Riverfront Conservancy team that makes it all possible. It started with Faye Nelson, but now Mark Wallace runs it. Will Smith, Karen DePerry, Cassie Brunsky. So accolades to them for sure.
No question about it. Well, we're feeling proud today, and we appreciate that, sir. Do take care.
Thank you, Guy. I appreciate it.
When we come back, much more on the Paul W. Smith Show. Just ahead, we're going to be, of course, as we always do, talk with Frank Beckman ahead of his show. We'll also be talking to Coach Tom Izzo. The Spartans having a bit of a disappointment this weekend. What does that do to their prospects to make it to the dance? We'll discuss that as well. It's all ahead on News Talk 760 WJR, right after we check in with Dana Clark, WJR Traffic First.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
When you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor, you get someone who understands there's an art to listening and can provide small business solutions that make you feel truly heard. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
94 eastbound right before Livernois. Accident still working to clear that right lane. Now seeing delays from Rotunda. Slow drive along 696 westbound between 11 Mile and 75. Also seeing some brake lights on your 75 northbound commute between 9.
So Mark is asking, is paddle tennis like racquetball?
No, because you're not just, think of shrinking the tennis court down to about a third of its size. Then you put chicken wire up on all four walls that extends up possibly 12 feet. Mm-hmm. So you're playing in a cage, and when you hit the ball, you hit it in the court, but then it can bounce up and bounce off of the wire. So you're playing a lot of your shots off the wire. There's a lot of lobbing, but there's a lot of moving around too. And if you want to, I got to tell you, there's on YouTube, one of the longest paddle points in history was played this year in Detroit at a tournament, and I'm not sure whether it was Orchard Lake or where it was, but they hit the ball 500 times. The point lasted 12 minutes.
OMG.
Where you're playing it off the wire, lobbing it back, hitting an overhead, that's played off the wire, and so they're scrambling around, and that point lasted 12 minutes, 500 ball rally.
That's insane.
Mine lasts 2 or 3. That's, and
so
it's not about
really
slamming. It's, like racquetball, there's the kill shot that you're hitting as hard as you can. You really don't have that. It's really more, it's longer points, kind of like squash.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. And is it really popular in Metro Detroit?
It's if at clubs that cater to racket sports,
Okay.
Like Birmingham Athletic Club, a lot of the country clubs have it.
Mm-hmm.
Bloomfield Open Hunt has
Yep.
them. So, for tennis players, it's a great way to transition. If you don't have an indoor membership, you can play it outdoors.
Okay.
I wish like pickleball that it became more inclusive, but you need heaters underneath the court to melt the snow, and you need lights, which not a lot of neighborhoods don't necessarily want or appreciate. So.
And then you have to be careful, like it doesn't ever get icy or slippery or anything.
No,
right?
that's why you've got these propane or gas heaters underneath it, because that will melt the snow and melt the ice.
Okay.
That cold snap we have, I mean, sometimes the corners didn't always get cleaned out of the ice, and so we'll get in there and try to chip it out on our own. But I just say, just to be outdoors and panting is a great thing.
Do you dress really warmly? Because if you are really working out, you're not gonna need to be that bundled up, right?
So I wear like long johns,
Yeah.
and then a piece of tech clothing shirt, and then like a fleece.
Okay.
And I'm down to just the 2 layers within 15 minutes.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I mean, I don't even wear a hat, but then I've got a lot of coverage.
Do you wear gloves?
Sometimes, depending on how cold it is. But it's
Cool.
it's a cool sport.
Yeah, it's very cool. All right, so the marriage peeps are coming up next. It'll be interesting to.
No surgery, no injections, no drugs, and absolutely no side effects.
It looks like, Guy.
1100.
Danielle says Dr. Jolly is there. Are they both there, Danielle? We need to know that.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
Well, we know that thanks to COVID, a lot of us have been forced indoors or working from home. Maybe both spouses are working home. My goodness, that's a lot of togetherness. Is it good for the marriage? Is it bad for the marriage? I think that depends on the people in the marriage. We welcome Dr. Willie Jolly, and I believe his better half, D. Taylor Jolly, co-authors of the book Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. Dr. Jolly, or Doctors Jolly, good to have you with us.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. And I am grateful for the opportunity to be on with you. My bride is not with me this morning. She's feeling a little under the weather, so I said, well, I can handle it. I'll take care of it by myself. But we've been married for 36 years, haven't had an argument in over 30 years. And we know that the situation you just said is so true, that many people are working together at home, and it's now where they used to get up and go to work and see each other only in the morning and the evening. Now they see each other all day long. And so there's a lot more what we call the COVID divorce happening. And what we want to do is tell people some of the secrets we've had and we've used that have helped us. And we put in our book, we wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And it has really taken off globally. And people are saying it has helped their marriages, their relationships. And so it has been a challenging time for the last year. My wife and I have been in the house for a year with each other, and no one else has been in the house except somebody maybe to work on a washing machine or something, or electrician or something. So, but there are some principles that we have found that are consistent that will help relationships, help marriages to heal if there's been a breach or a brokenness or a issue. And then the ones that are doing good, help them do even better. What we try and do is our goal was to save 1 million marriages and enhance 1 million more when we wrote the book.
So help me, because, to me, and I've been in a marriage 35 years, and I turned to a buddy.
You're the same as me almost.
Yeah, I turned to a buddy of mine and I said, God, I can't imagine doing this without having a partner who I really enjoy being around. If she was a negative person or a grievance-oriented person, this would be hell. So tell me, for those, there's a cadence to marriage. You go to work, you look forward to coming home and seeing your beloved. If they're there all the time, what happens when you don't have that anticipation or that, moment to look forward to.
Yeah, it's a bad thing when you got to go to work and be in a tough fight all day outside the house, and then you come back and it's a tough fight at home. So, what the chapter number 1 in the book speaks to that. Friends first. You just said it so wonderfully. Friends first. That you enjoy being with your spouse. And what we found that studies and our research has shown that the people who have the greatest marriages and the most happy marriages are friends. Now, what happens though when you get married to somebody? And people get married for all sorts of reasons. Somebody looked good, somebody had a fast car, somebody had a great body, whatever it is. And they got married and they weren't real good friends. We talk about that. What do you do then? You're in the marriage. You're in the boat and the boat out in the water. What do? Well, we have some exercises in the book to help you befriend your spouse so that y'all can work on your friendship and improve your friendship, because many times we found people who got married for some odd reasons, but they learn to like each other. There's one quote in the book, Guy, that people really seem to like. One of my mentors, many people might know my name as a speaker, and I was there in Detroit. I worked with Ford and so many other companies there. But there's a quote from my friend Zig Ziglar, who I replaced when he passed away. I replaced him on his on the Get Motivated tour. You'll love this. He said, "I have no way of knowing whether you're married or not to the right person or the wrong person. I do know that many people have lots of wrong ideas about marriage and what it takes to be happy and successful. I'm the first to admit that it is possible you did marry the wrong person. However, if you treat the wrong person like the right person, you could well have ended up marrying the right person after all. On the other hand, if you marry the right person and you treat the right person wrong, you certainly will have ended up marrying the wrong person. I also know that it's far more important to be the right kind of person than it is to marry the right person. In short, whether you marry the right one or wrong is primarily up to you." So that's a great thought. So we want people to work on their friendship, and we tell them how to do that in the book. Second, big boulder, Guy, you know this. You've been married a long time. There are 3 boulders that break up marriage: sex, money, communication. They will impact and stress your marriage. So we focus on those in the book. We talk about sex very openly, and the fact that men see sex differently than women, and that men have to get a new thought pattern of what women really want, not just sex, but intimacy and security. And so we talk about sex. We talk about money. And the fact that, in fact, one of my dear friends is right there in Detroit, Ken Glass, used to be with GM, and he and his wife have what we call the one pot system, that when they got married right out of college, they put all the money in one pot, and they've continued to do that, versus others who do the 2 or 3 pot. And then third is communication. You gotta have good communication in a marriage. And what we encourage people to do is to go to jollymarriage.com, get the free chapter. Communication chapter is the biggest chapter. We give that away free because we want people to use it. So go to jollymarriage.com, get the free chapter. And then if you choose to get the book, get 2 copies. Get 2 copies, one for each of you, and read it together. They're learning lessons at the end of each chapter that will help you. And we've had so many couples who said they were on their way to divorce court and have turned it around. Well, look, we say if you're willing to invest in getting married, we encourage you invest in staying married.
So help me with this, because I've talked to guys, and you're right. If we're lucky enough to have married our best friend, and we are friends first, as you point out in chapter 1, we're in a good place.
Yeah.
What about too much of a good thing? I mean, I love my best friend, but she may not want to see me 24/7. So how do we navigate that?
Part of this is finding places of humor and finding places of space. And so I think that's a natural dance that my wife and I have been working together, traveling together, been together for many years, where we in business together. And even then, we have a rhythm. She gets up much earlier than I do, and that's her self time. She does her yoga and she does her other activities. And then by the time I get up and I go work out, we have our time. Then we coalesce back together and we work in different offices. And she has her space, I have my space. But we spend time during the day talking or whatever. But one of the things is we laugh each other a lot. We laugh a lot. And that helps.
So important.
Oh, so important. And that's one of the points we talk about too. Humor, developing humor. And some of that is self-effacing humor, just weird stuff I might do. Or she'll say her idiosyncrasies. So we got so many things in that we want people to use that have helped many people. And then we got a chapter in there for single folks, because there are those who are single. So we got something in there for them too.
Well, I got to tell you, you got to be playful, and that's and no matter whether it's you got to keep the sense of fun and play. Dr. Willie Jolly, we thank you so much. You do sound like you are jolly because you're a happily married man, and
absolutely, my pleasure.
So, the book is Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last: 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage, and that's Jolly, Jolley. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, have a great day and stay safe.
We sure will. You too. 827 on News Talk 760. Let's get to Dana Clark, WJR Traffic. First, back with Spartan coach Tom Izzo.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. If you're looking to hire, think of Indeed as your GPS. With great tools like Instant Match and over 135 skill tests, Indeed helps you navigate the hiring process from start to finish. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
94 eastbound right before Livernois. Accident still working to clear that right lane. Now,
so Guy, I already heard from Professor Raymond, and she thought that you were on afternoon. So she's like, I don't know what your problem is with the time difference. We're fine with that. And I said, oh, but he's filling in for.
Oh, she looked me up online.
She looked you up, yeah.
Okay.
So I said, well, here's the catch. He's doing the morning show, but she's already awake. So I said, is there any way she could do it today at 9:20 after your other interview with Dr. Manis?
Okay.
So I'm waiting to hear back from her. She is offering to have, is it Hanashek? Is that the other researcher? There's two. She did that research with another professor.
Did you just talk to her? Did you talk to her on the phone?
We're just emailing now.
Emailing back and forth?
She said Hanashek and I would be happy to visit with Guy.
Well, that would be fine. I don't know.
I know that I saw Hanashek in the research. We'll see what she says now coming back here. They must have did that. Hang on. Okay, education study. Let's see what.
I mean, if she can do it at 9:20, that would be great. I just need to be in the car by 10 to 10.
Oh, that's right. You have okay.
But that's fine. And if I can get just 10 minutes to, well, not even that, to read over their. But that's great. What the hell? She's up.
She's up already. It's only 5:30 there.
On the West Coast, 5:30.
Well,
that's crazy.
Well, we're crazy.
Yes,
long-term economic. Okay, so John.
Do you know what though? Email her back
Mm-hmm.
and see if, because it may take a minute for her to do this. So there were 18 states they looked at. Michigan was one of them. See if she can tease out the Michigan data. I've seen the graph. I don't know what it means in terms of where we rank in terms of learning loss.
Yep.
Because that's a key thing. If she can tease out that little nugget, that'd be great.
Okay, let's see what she tells me. I will send her a note. She may want to wait for Dr. or Professor Hanashek. But if they're both, I mean, if she's already awake, we'll see.
God, it's a beautiful morning out there.
I know.
I'm actually, please don't hate me for saying this, but I'm actually sad to see the snow go. Before it started melting, the cross-country skiing was awesome.
Yeah. Do you where do you go for that?
There's a golf course across the street.
Okay. And you guys go
I mean, it's got plenty of hills and stuff, and there's somebody else that does the same route that I do. The problem was the other day it was really wet, heavy snow, and I was breaking the trail. I was done after 3 holes because it was a lot of snow to move, and you couldn't glide. I was laughing yesterday. Willie Geist on the Today Show did an interview with Jim Gaffigan, and Gaffigan took him out cross-country skiing, and it was funny. It was fun to watch.
I love cross-country skiing. You know who's got really nice trails is Boyne.
Yeah.
Beautiful trails.
Have you ever done the zip lining up there in the summertime?
No. Mm-mm. Have you?
Yeah, it's fun, and especially if you're with guests or with younger, like your kids,
Mm-hmm.
it's something fun to do with them that isn't, that kind of gets you off property and gets you out.
Where is it?
They've got one. Oh, they got to run at the mountain, and they got a run at Highlands too. But I was looking at the run in the wood. So you would, like, you start out in the woods, and then you zip line across one of the ski runs.
Wow.
So you're going from a grove of trees to a grove of trees. And then the last one is like a straight shot towards the lodge, which is just teeth, hair, and eyeballs. It's so much fun.
You're daring. I don't know if I would do that.
Oh, it isn't. I mean, you feel safe, and you're strapped in, you're in a harness and everything like that, and it's got a braking system on it, so it's...
No, it still sounds daring. Sounds very daring. Thank you very much. Yeah,
underground zip line in Louisville. Patrick, was that like in the caves around Louisville? And hashtag no snow. I get it. I totally get it.
Prince Philip has been moved to a new hospital to continue to treat whatever kind of infection he has.
This is hitting
something
close
must be wrong with him.
Yeah, this is.
I mean,
it
really
sounds
wrong.
like the very thing that my dad is going through and went through.
It really does.
An infection when you're 90. What is he? 96, 97? I think he's my dad's age.
I think he's 99.
99. He's almost 3 years older than George. But yeah.
Treatment of an infection and observation of a pre-existing heart condition. Moved from one hospital to another. So they must have taken him, transferred to St. Bartholomew's Hospital.
So basically what they're saying is they're putting him into long-term care. They've moved him out of... So, I mean, that's what they did with my dad, is that he still needs enough medical attention that they can't send him home.
Yeah.
So, at that age, a urinary tract infection will kill you.
Yes.
And they're really common at that age.
Yeah. There is just no question about it. Those things are really, really dangerous at any age past 70, I think.
If you have just a hint of dementia, I mean, my dad, we can tell when he has an infection because he just gets loopy.
Yeah, I've heard so many people say this.
It's, he starts seeing things, you got to get a urinalysis.
Get it checked right away.
Patrick, that sounds so cool. Patrick went ziplining to the old salt mines in Louisville.
Wow.
That would be so cool.
That would be so scary. Let's think about that for a minute.
Especially, if they do some fun things with the light, so it's light and shadow.
It sounds scary. I don't like that one.
Have you ever been into the salt mines here?
Yes.
Are they not fascinating?
They're incredible. And I've been to the Louisville caves too.
I've never been down there.
They're fascinating too.
Patrick, you've got me. I wonder how far.
Louisville, you guys could do a road trip.
Yeah, we used to go down to Lexington a lot when Greer was competing on the horse.
With the horse.
But I've never been to Louisville.
You would love that. Are you kidding? You could go. Isn't that where the Baseball Hall of Fame is too?
That's Cooperstown.
Cooperstown.
There is something.
There's something baseball in Louisville.
Oh, the Louisville Slugger, the bat factory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could have a grand time there.
Yeah, 5 hours. Yeah, that's just like Lexington or
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Would be a fun trip.
The Slugger Museum. Thank you.
Yeah. I imagine this year another interesting thing might be to check in with Dave Lorenz. They're probably planning on having a really good tourism year in the state of Michigan because people are probably going to stay close to home again this year. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because we can't. Where are we going to go?
The downside of it is look at people have a ton of disposable income.
I know.
When you're not.
Izzo is not answering. So Danielle, bring Courtney up, and I'll text Tom. This happens
occasionally.
he's having a whale of a year. So let me text Tom, and then we'll bring up Izzo, or we'll bring up Courtney, and you guys can talk.
We can chat it up.
Yeah, because you've got a lot of interesting points on this. Anyhow, I had to do this last week too. Just so he knows. I'll tell him too that Guy Gordon.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that Kevin's brother lives at Angels Place, Beverly Hills.
I know, I didn't know that either. I told him we were more than happy to do that interview. It's a great story.
Kevin is he's such a good guy.
Yes.
I just really enjoy working with him.
An excellent account exec. Ready for you, call Paul. Steve is there too. Okay, so you and Steve. I'll let you know when I hear from Tom.
Okay, I'll watch on private chat.
Now back to more
We've got Tom.
Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
Well, we were hoping that the streak would continue after that great win over Ohio State. Bit of a disappointment with the loss to Maryland, but it is a new day, and what a week we have in front of us for Spartan basketball. A lot of great opponents and a lot of good opportunity to watch some great hoops. Spartan coach Tom Izzo and Steve Courtney joining us this morning. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Happy Monday and happy March. It's time for some madness.
Yes, indeed, Guy. Good morning to you, my friend. Yesterday at College Park, Maryland, your Michigan State Spartans take the floor, their third game in 6 days. Meanwhile, for the Terrapins of Maryland, their very first action since knocking off Rutgers on February 21st. You bring that into the equation, not to mention the Terrapins begin the tilt on an 11-0 run. The hole a little bit too deep. Let's talk about it, shall we, Coach? How are you this morning?
Yeah, do we have to? But I will say this, a couple of things. They had, I think, won 5 in a row or 4 out of 5. They were playing really good. And, I really felt like we were ready to play, but I guess I got to take the blame for that because when you start out 11-zip, you give up 3 threes. And that's kind of the way the game stayed. We cut it down to 4 with, I think, 9:50 left. And it wasn't an 18-point game, and it wasn't a 4-point game. It got off 11-0. It stayed 9-10 points most of the game, 8 points. And we just didn't do the things well enough to win. And, you look at a million different things. It's been a brutal, week in a lot of ways. But hey, that's the way it is. That's the nature of what we're in. And I just was disappointed because I didn't think my best players struggled a little bit, and they've been so damn good. So I appreciated the effort we gave, and yet we got to get a little bit more out of our points, and we got to get a little bit more. It was fun to see Hauser and Malik Hall play better, and I don't think there's been many games when Josh and Aaron are going to go, whatever they went. I want to say it was like 7 for 29 or something. And so, we found a way to lose a game against a team that will definitely be an NCAA team and on a pretty good streak of their own, but did not play as good as I was hoping. And, if we wouldn't have got off to the poor start, I think it would have been a game that would have gone down to the wire.
Tom, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Obviously, a very emotional week last week, knocking off number 5 Illinois, number 4 Ohio State, mentally draining. I mean, and that leads to the question. And I was asking myself, which I know is a dangerous deal going into yesterday's tilt, how much was left in the tank mentally against the Terrapins?
Well, and we had beaten Indiana on the road right before that. So, there's a lot of good excuses. I mean, who knows where anybody is right now. I think, you saw some of the scores yesterday, Ohio State getting killed at home. Villanova shooting 7% from the 3. They're one of the best 3-point shooting teams. There's going to be some ups and downs. Michigan has stayed pretty consistent in our league. They're about the only ones. Illinois, Iowa's been a little up and down. Wisconsin's been really up and down. Those are our best teams. And now Ohio State loses 3 in a row. And, I still think they're one of the better teams in our league. So, we're looking at this week as a memory making week. We got a chance to, we got big games coming up. Every game's a big one. None bigger than the one tomorrow night, though, because if you can beat Indiana again, it gives you a chance to go into the Michigan thing, and then you got the Big Ten tournament. And, I think what's going on around the country, we're still every bit as alive for postseason as not as anybody, but as a lot of teams in our situation, and we'll see what we can do with it.
Coach, quick question. In terms of the formula that they use when you're on the bubble like this, what are they going to be watching for out of your team other than just a win against Indiana and maybe another one against Michigan?
Well, I tell you, that, you bring up a sore subject for me.
I do that a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, this was the same when we were a 1 seed. I never agreed with the RPI. Now we have this thing called the net, and the bottom line to the net is, it's like football people are a lot smarter, if you ask me, than basketball. Even on the committee, football people have. Well, I just say that because this net. Do you remember? And Steve, you remember this when Oklahoma 10 years ago, were beating teams 88-0 and running up the score, and because that's how they had to become a national champion.
Right.
And then they got rid of that part of it. I mean, we were 28 up on Notre Dame and 16 up on Duke. And, if you sub or you do some things at the end and you win by 10 or something, that hurts you. I mean, I've never seen anything so stupid. I'm not going to run up a score on a friend. I'm not going to get guys fired. I'm not going to sit there and not play my young kid. It's ridiculous. So the net thing is bad, but that's bad for everybody. It has nothing to do with us.
But you shouldn't be penalized for being a good guy.
Well, you shouldn't be penalized for being a human being and trying to get your young kids ready. But there is that. That's the new thing. Everybody says the net doesn't matter. That's all you see on TV is the net. So that disappoints me. But I think it should go by who you play, your schedule you play, and how you played against those people. And then the COVID thing should come in, like injuries do. I mean, we were one that got a third year. But I'm not politicking for it because I'm ready to accept whatever happens. If we don't win enough games, that's our fault, not anybody else's.
All right, back on February 20th at Assembly Hall, it started it for MSU, knocking off IU 78-71. They will meet at the friendly confines of the Breslin Center, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Our coverage getting underway at 7. Coach, all the best.
Yeah, it won't be a packed house either.
Well, it'll be packed at Steve's house and at mine, okay?
You better believe
guys,
it.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
All
guys.
right.
Thanks,
care.
Guy.
Thank you, sir. Coach Tom Izzo, wishing you nothing but the best. Take down some Hoosiers. 8:44 on News Talk 760 WJR. We'll check in with Frank and see what's ahead on his show next on News Talk 760 WJR.
Sponsored by Exergen. Accuracy matters. Get a $5 rebate by trading up any non-contact thermometer toward an Exergen purchased at any retailer. Accuracy matters, especially when it comes to checking for a fever. Exergen's accuracy is backed by published, peer-reviewed clinical studies. Details at exergen.com.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
When you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor, you get someone who understands there's an art to listening and can provide small business solutions that make you feel truly heard. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Traffic First sponsored by Amish Direct Furniture. Amish Direct Furniture carries a huge variety of high-quality handmade furniture made here in the U.S. Stop by Amish Direct's new showroom in Sterling Heights and meet their knowledgeable staff or shop online at amishdirect.com. That's
okay. I got Chris on the other line, but Frank is good to go.
Okay, good.
But Danielle, we do want to make sure you tell us when he's there. If he's not, Guy, I'll get Marie and we'll pop back in. But let me, I'm going to pop out here for a second just to.
Well, let's tee it up with Frank. Danielle, if you want to play cut 8 and cut 7 back to back again, and then play
back, you guys.
And then play cut 2. So 8, 7, and 2. Or no, 8, 7, 3. Sorry, 8, 7, 3. It's funny, Patrick. You brought up the caves, the salt caves down in Louisville. Probably 30, 35 years ago, my father-in-law was the local Range Rover dealer, and there's a utility truck that they have that the salt mines wanted to buy, and he was more than happy to sell it to them. But of course, you can't. It's a vehicle delivery for an auto dealer is normally not that complicated, right? New owner shows up, you give him the vehicle. In this case, he had to take the vehicle to them. He had to disassemble it on site. And then you had to take it down the shaft and reassemble it. He still remembers it as one of his favorite. He's been an auto dealer for nearly 50 years. And it's still his favorite delivery to talk about. And that's one of those things. And I assume that they still have those kinds of things that happen. But I don't know if they're still giving tours or not. But it's fascinating. Believe it or not, I was a geology major for 2 years. I was going into the oil business. Don't ask me how I got sidetracked into this. But it's fascinating to go down there and to see what the Silurian era seas had created here. It's the same thing, and by the way, the same things that created the salt mines, the same oceans also created the oil and gas that we have in Michigan. So like an area up here and down here was the Great Lakes Basin, and it was the coral reefs that the carbon that broke down and became oil and gas, hydrocarbons.
Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't.
So Danielle, let me know if you got my request to do.
We have an issue guy
Yes, ma'am.
for after the show, not right this minute, although we do need to make sure that he is there.
Do you need me to go to Lucy Live?
Yes, we need you to go on Access 3 because we have to, they have to come into our studio. So you and I have to move into Prod 2.
Okay. No
I'm going to
worries.
tell Marie to be
Give me 2 minutes to take a desperately needed personal break here.
We run a tight ship.
You do. Well, now that we're on StreamYard, want to chat to our folks that are watching the streaming and things like that. So
watch Newsmax TV.
All right, so I'm going to sit here until I hear Frank.
Now back to more of the Paul W. Smith Show. Here's Guy Gordon.
So we saw that it was a big coming out party down at CPAC in Orlando. I just want to get a couple of highlights here. Danielle, give me cut 8, 7, and then 3.
We reject left-wing lunacy, and in particular, we reject cancel culture. Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay?
President Trump, ever the tease, looking ahead to 2024, not giving it an official nod, but certainly raising expectations. Also did away with the notion that there'll be any kind of a third-party run. I know that my good friend Frank Beckman was watching that address from Orlando yesterday. Frank, good morning to you.
Mouth agape, sir. Mouth agape.
And why so? I found it to be a very ordinary Trump speech. I mean, he hit on the normal themes and grievances. I thought he was really strong on cancel culture, and that's going to be a big issue going forward. That lit up the room.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. But just the suggestion that he could run again in 2024 is what really caught my attention most of all, and was the biggest headline of the event. That he's not going to seek a third party, a patriot party or whatever. He's not going to support a third party. He's going to work within the Republican Party. And the big question for me about Donald Trump is, do Republicans sort of stiff arm him and say, I don't want anything to do with him. He's toxic for my campaign, so I want to stay away from him. Or do they embrace him and say he is still the leader of the party? That's the question that remains unanswered, I think, even after his address in Orlando.
Well, and he says that there is, he tried to suggest that there is no infighting, that there is no civil war within the Republican Party. Rick Scott said much the same thing on the Sunday morning talk shows yesterday. But then the president calls out Fred Upton, Liz Cheney, Gonzalez, all of those members of Congress that voted for his impeachment after January 6th. And that's a civil war, Frank. I mean, you can't tell me there's not a war and then call out for the political equivalent of a hit against your opponents.
Yeah, that's a good point. And but it's also why I don't think he has any chance of ever returning as a candidate in the Republican Party. If Donald Trump's going to run, Guy, I think he's going to have to do it as a third-party candidate or an independent. What say you?
I don't agree. I think he could run within the Republican Party. Now, I think CPAC is a different animal. But I was really, and I wanted to get your reaction to this straw poll that the McLaughlin Group did, showing that 95+% of attendees at CPAC believe that the party has to keep the Trump principles, Trump values, and Trump policies. But when asked, would you vote for him today if he was in a primary, only 55% said yes. Now, I take that to mean right message, wrong messenger, but I still think it's very hard to deny Donald Trump an avenue to run again, because you're going to turn away the African-American voters he's brought in, the Hispanic voters he's brought in, and the working class voters that he's brought in for the Democrats.
Well, we'll watch. It'll be the story heading into 2024, obviously, from this point forward, whether Donald Trump tries to give it another go. And it's fascinating to watch. I'm not sure that he's doing the Republican Party much good, though. How about you? Do you see this as a plus for the GOP as a party?
I got to tell you, I felt really awkward and uncomfortable as he was calling out, especially after what happened January 6th, calling out lawmakers by name. That was an uncomfortable moment. I think you're right. I think it's going to be the story of the next 2 years. And I think what will make the difference, Frank, if he can convert a few House seats and maybe even regain the majority, he will take credit for it. And then I think he becomes a very difficult force to deny.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's spot on. That's a great observation right there, Guy, because if Republicans make a comeback here in the midterms, as traditionally happens, against the new president, he sees seats disappear in the House and the Senate too, quite frankly, and we'll see.
My only question is, what will be the litmus test for House wannabes? Are they going to have to say to Donald Trump, and will they have to publicly proclaim the election was stolen? Will they have to publicly proclaim that January 6th was an Antifa event? What will you have to do to earn his endorsement?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't read that mind. I'll be honest with you. So
we're going to find out. Yeah.
You and I try to deal with the facts, sir.
I know, and yet it is fun to speculate. We look forward to your show as we do every day, Frank. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Guy, thanks, and congratulations on Friday. Great job with the Salvation Army.
It's same to you and the team, especially our engineering team, who pulled off an amazing technological feat just to make that thing happen. What a wonderful day it was.
Guy, hold on. They do wonders every day. They make you and me sound good.
Well, this is very, very true. The impossible dream. Thanks so much, Frank. We look forward to his show next on News Talk 760 WJR. I'll be back in for Paul W. bright and early tomorrow morning at 5:30. Until then, take care.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International. For kids in poverty around the world, things are still desperate. Join Compassion International with your one-time $40 gift to provide a COVID relief kit to a family in poverty. Text the word GIVE to 83393. That's GIVE to 83393.
Traffic First, sponsored by the National Electrical Contractors Association. NECA put the expertise and skill of NECA signatory contractors to work on your commercial, public, industrial, or residential construction project. NECA signatory contractors like Metro Controls are powering Michigan's future project after project on time and on budget. Learn more at smcneca.org. 94 eastbound before Livernois. Earlier accident, still working to clear that right lane, delayed from at least Michigan Avenue. Slow rides 696 westbound between DeQuinder and 75. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Michael Perna and the Perna Team Realtors. Worried if this is the right time to sell your home? It's time to call Michael Perna. Michael Perna with Keller Williams Realty guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline that you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. Call Michael Perna, 844-7.
Okay.
So I'm going to we'll go off of StreamYard, say goodbye to our viewers.
Yes, we
and
shall.
then you go ahead and wait for her. She's connecting in Prod 2. So she's never done this before. So let's see what happens. Hopefully, hopefully it's going to work.
Good enough. To all of our Facebook friends, thank you very much. Loved your comments. Loved chatting with you in the breaks. I need to do this on my show more often.
It's fun, yeah. It's great.
I know it makes life more difficult for Laura and Mike, but it would be fun to do.
It is very fun. Plus, you can talk the whole time. Okay. So I'm going to have to work out a different time with the professor. So I'll square a deal with her for another day.
Okay, so we're not doing Margaret Raymond today then?
No, you're just
I would do her solo. I mean, I've got no problem. Or
yeah.
Does she?
She then wrote back, I have another interview at 6, so I think the timing is tight. Can we look for another time? Well, let me see. I'll see if she can do tomorrow at 9. If she's